Armed.
Monday night. We're in the middle of January. Welcome to the Wise Guys, Dave McCann and Blaine Fowler. We have got an awesome show tonight. This is the #1 global live stream show for BYU Sports, and we love it.
Yeah, and Monday
we don't
night
mind saying that.
It's family night, and we're all family, right?
Exactly.
We're all part of the BYU family.
Look at that. We've already got folks saying hello right out of the gate.
Yes, I love it. Ruthie. Well, hey, Ruthie, in quick. Bobby beat you this time. Bobby Gardner beat you, but Ruthie's always in there real quick. We appreciate all those folks. Listen, Alan Blacker out there, and Marcy, of course, with him. Lake Winnipesaukee. And I know that those words came off of Bill Murray's tongue at some point in Meatballs or one of the old movies that he was in, that he was going to Lake Winnipesaukee.
Or Groundhog Day or something
Maybe Groundhog Day. I don't know when it was, but he was going to Lake Winnipesaukee.
Vegas is always in the house with Dr. Ketch.
Yeah, BYU Sports Attic always with us from Farmington. We're so glad to have our loyal folks from all around the state of Utah, all around the United States, and all around the world. Vegas is in the house, so we always wait to see, when does Panama join in? When does the Philippines come and join us? When does Japan join up? Corey, where are you, my brother? So we love having all of you. Whether you're in the state with us, you're someplace else, we welcome you. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube. We always put the link in the chat. Hit subscribe. It's free. We're also live on Facebook, Twitch, ysguys.com, and especially be sure to subscribe at ysguys.com, because then you're going to get our weekly email.
Our weekly email is awesome. It's highlights from the show, video clips from our interviews, and then our whole roster. We've almost been on the air for 2 years now, so our whole roster is there with some fascinating interviews from Steve Young to Sherry Dew and a whole lot in between at ysguys.com. It is really one of the coolest sites. We say that, one, because it's ours, but two, if you're a BYU fan and you go there and you see all the interviews we've done, all you have to do is just click on the name and it pops up. There's some fascinating people we've had on the show.
There's no place in the world where you can go get that lineup of guests. And We don't have them on for 5 minutes. We have them on for 45 minutes, sometimes for an hour, sometimes in Marie Osmond's case, 2 hours.
Yeah, we're very flexible.
And so you get some in-depth stuff that you don't get anyplace else. And people always ask me, man, you guys have had some amazing guests. Like, who's your favorite? And I think for a minute, I'm like, wow, I really liked when Danny was on. But you know what? Jimmers was really good. And but you know what? I really, really loved when we had and I start going and you know what I've decided?
They're all good.
I have 30 favorites or more.
There's something good in each one of them.
My very favorite is Libby Lloyd.
Yeah, well, of course, as it should be.
Yeah, which is my daughter, and she's my very favorite. Although we did have my son Kellen on too.
Yeah, well, now you're going to have to work that one out.
But
of the
I didn't
house.
get to sing with Kellen. I got to sing with Libby, which was a real treat.
So that put her to number one.
Yeah, it jacked her up a couple of notches.
Here's what we got going on the show tonight. BYU football adds a tight ends coach. A big name with a lot of NFL experience. We'll talk about that.
And ties to BYU, which lots of people are like, where's this guy from? And ties to BYU, we'll talk about that. How about Puka last night in their playoff game? He went nuts.
Phenomenal.
Which he's done all season long, and that's a great story. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Hoops gets their first win in the Big 12 with a big game tomorrow, which would be Tuesday. And former BYU big man Eric Mika is going to join the Wise Guys. He's going to make his Wise Guys debut here in a few minutes. Yep. We're looking forward to that.
Be great. We had him on the air with us in one of our pregame shows.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal, and he'll let us know what he thinks about this BYU team. And he's still in the mix of playing, so he'll fill us in on what's going on because he's been out with an injury that's almost healed. So he's going to fill us in on what the next plan is. He's been playing professionally. It's not time for him to stop playing professionally yet. No. So he'll fill us in on all he's doing. Hey, the show has returned to the Smithfield House.
It's not technically called the show, but we can call it the show.
Oh, it's the show.
We don't have any affiliation with the Aztec student section.
It's
the big show on campus talking about men's volleyball.
If you haven't been to a men's volleyball game in the Smithfield House, you are missing out because it is one of the great environments in all of college sports, period. Not just in college volleyball. It's amazing. So, hey Ed, why does Ed always rub it into us that he's in short sleeves and it's 59 degrees in St. George while we're dying?
Thanks, Ed. Thank you. Sean Olmstead, by the way.
We're glad to have you on.
Volleyball coach Sean Olmstead is going to be with us here in studio in just a bit tonight as they get ready for the season's underway, and they've got couple of home matches against Princeton. That's their next time they're at the field house. That's just around the corner. So Sean Olmstead, he might be the coolest coach on campus. You're the volleyball coach.
Yeah. You
come in, you're half from California, you're a beach guy, life's good. Yeah. You got a good team, you fill the place. That's like living the dream. He's
one of and they're not in the Big 12 because they're in a better league than the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's the one sports program at BYU that said, we probably need to stay where we're at because we're in the most elite league in volleyball. And when they have a reloading year, like they did last year with tons of young players, they're only expected to be in the top 10. When they have a veteran team, they're expected to compete for a national championship every year, and that's the bar. And that's what Sean has built here. So we're really excited to have Sean on with us.
Let's get to our headlines tonight on the Wise Guys. Off-season conditioning drills are underway for the football team. Every now and then they tweet out some video of them running back and forth and lifting weights. Spring practice drills, we'll call them. They're underway. We're waiting on the Big 12 schedule. It's mid-January. They said it'd be out in mid-January.
Remember last year, though, that they were like a month late?
Yeah. Remember this year they came out and they said because we were so late, we're not going to be late this year. Yeah. But now we are. We're in the middle of January, so maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be this week.
Let's hope it's this week because I'm excited to see who's on that schedule. We have an idea of what teams. We just don't know what order.
Right.
So
when we get the order, then I'll set it
earlier this week with you on Sports Nation.
Yep.
Or was it last week that we did this?
Last week. Today's Monday, so
it was last week we built our schedules the way we wanted to see it roll out, which was kind of fun to think ahead.
And everyone's got it Utah Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, of course.
Question.
Is that going to happen? We don't know.
Yeah, we're going to find out though, and we're eager to. Once that schedule comes out, we'll totally break it down.
Yeah. Who do you want them not to play? Well, we already know who they're not going to play.
Yeah. I love the fact that they're going to play Arizona in Provo now that Arizona's coach has gone to Washington.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
And maybe he's taking half his team with him.
You and I were talking about this earlier today. I was saying, you know what? I was starting to lean toward Arizona being the favorite in the Big 12 next year.
Yeah.
With everybody they had back and the coaching staff intact. They were a young, really talented team that peaked last year. And then everything just changed this week. When he takes that job at Washington.
Takes half his staff.
And you know that phenomenal quarterback Fafita is going to go to Washington with him.
At least we think.
Unless he comes to BYU.
That'd be nice.
And how many players are going to go? It's going to be like when Oklahoma's coach goes to USC. Yeah. He takes 19 guys with him, right?
That's what you do now.
And guess what's going to happen when DeBeer goes from Washington to Alabama? He's going to take a bunch of guys to Bama with him. That was a really good Washington team. And so there's going to be a bunch of players. They're going to go follow their coach to Washington because he's going to take his coordinator and all those folks with him. So all of a sudden, Arizona is not my favorite to win the league next year. Now I got to really think about this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It might be Kansas State. I don't know.
Some of it might depend on how the schedule shakes out. Who's playing who and where.
That's true.
And when. So that's a great discussion we'll have this whole off season.
Yep.
One discussion that we'll have tonight that answers an opening that we've been talking about for a while. What's BYU going to do at the tight end coaching spot? And they've hired Kevin Gilbride. And when I saw that come across, my first thought was, Kevin Gilbride of the NFL? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, it's like, really?
Yeah. So what do we know about this guy?
So he came to BYU. His dad is a legendary coach, an offensive mind that coached in the National Football League for years, and was also known as a great offensive mind in college football. And back at that time, remember, BYU was, this is the place, if you were a quarterback and you wanted to throw the football, there was no other place. Like BYU was quarterback U. So back in 98, he comes to BYU as a freshman quarterback. And when things kind of started to fall out and he saw that he wasn't going to be the guy, he transferred to Hawaii. But he spent a year here, understands the culture here, understands the history, the offensive reputation, which I think is great. But then he's coached 12 years in the NFL. He's been with the Panthers. He's been with the Bears. He's been with the Giants. He comes to BYU, as you mentioned, from Charlotte in the American Athletic Conference. In the American Conference, he's a second-generation offensive guru, offensive mind, loves the passing game, former quarterback. Nice to have another. Think about it. On the offensive staff, what player played quarterback? None.
Yeah.
It's nice to have somebody on the staff, even if he's coaching the tight ends.
That's thought like a quarterback thinks.
That said, listen, you know what? Been in that situation. I remember what that looks like. It was really nice for me. And I remember when I was playing, Norm Chow was calling the plays. But sometimes Norm Chow would say something to me, and I would just look over at Mike Holmgren, and Mike would go, "Come over here." And he'd go, "Listen, I know exactly what you're seeing, and I know how you're feeling. I've been there." Like, what I remember when I was a freshman and getting into a game, and it looked like that to me. It's just nice to have somebody that can go, I stood in those shoes. I felt the same kind of pressure. I saw what you're trying to see from the field level, and this is what I did to get better. So in addition to really being a great offensive mind and understanding tight ends and having coached tight ends and all of that, I love the fact that he played quarterback. I think it's great.
The armchair quarterbacks are those of us that sit there and watch with all the camera angles, and we're going, how is it possible that quarterback did not see that guy was wide open?
So he's running wide open.
What kind of quarterback is this? And I was watching some of the Steelers game earlier today, and the Steelers quarterback was off to an awful start. And I'm thinking to myself, as a guy who's never played in the NFL, I'm like, dude, how can you not see that guy's open?
Yeah, and you think they can see the whole field, and the great ones kind of have a sense, but every once in a while, it was. There's a read where you go, okay, if the safety does this, take away that half of the field, we're doing a strong read. And so if that safety runs this way, you've got a strong read, and you're going 1, 2, 3 over here on the strong side, depending on what they do. Yeah. And all of a sudden, somebody's running wide open free on the left side, and everybody's like, well, I can't even see him.
Shouldn't he just look over there?
It's not in his read, right? And quarterbacks that have played there know, hey, no worries. Or they may say, hey, you know what you want to do on this play? Just at the snap of the ball, take a peek. And if this guy does this, you could actually read it weak side. And then once you've confirmed that, go to the strong side. That's the little thing I always did, just to make sure I don't miss a wide open guy. So I think it'll be great to have him help. Now, Matt also works with the tight ends, the offensive analyst who's really with the quarterbacks, who's really, really good with quarterbacks. Having another guy on the offensive staff that played that position and really knows how these quarterback feels, I think is great. And it's great for recruiting quarterbacks as well. And his family heritage and his experience in the NFL gives him a lot of credibility in recruiting players. So there you go.
So they got their tight ends coach. They got their offensive line / running game coordinator coach. They're good to go, ready for for March and spring practice, and it'll be fun to see everybody back out there. All right, live streamers, tell us what you think of Puka Nacua's debut season.
Oh my goodness!
In the NFL. In the football game against Detroit, which would be last night, Sunday night, 9 catches for 181 yards and a touchdown. They lost by 1, so their season's over. But he was phenomenal from start to finish in his NFL rookie season. He sets the rookie record for most yards in a playoff game, the rookie record for most receptions in a season, 105, the rookie record in receiving yards, 1,486. We're going to have much more football later in the show, but we want to talk about Puka for a moment because that's what everybody's thinking. And you get some of the thoughts immediately in there. Puka, insane, so proud of him. He is beyond the expectation of maybe everyone but himself. He lasted the whole year. He played banged up, and he was phenomenal.
I don't know how, I think you're right. I think that not a single person, Fessy knew he was going to be a good NFL guy. We said he's going to make the team. He's going to be a starter in that league. We said that.
But we weren't sure he'd get drafted. Remember? We're like,
we had nobody. Yeah. This is transcendent. He's the best rookie wide receiver in the history of the game.
Which is crazy when you think of some of the guys that have come into the game and been receivers. Randy Moss made all the noise. Puka beat all his yards and catches.
He's the best rookie wide receiver in the history of the National Football League. Yardage, receptions, yards in a playoff game. It's nuts what he did this season. Yeah. And so, no, did anybody that says, yeah, this is what I predicted, can we just call them out? They're lying. Nobody predicted this.
It helped him that Cooper Kupp went down with that injury.
Right.
Which shifted some of the offense to him. But did you notice, and certainly last night in the playoff game, Cooper Kupp was back and has been back for weeks now. But the offense still goes through Puka. Even that last play where he was interfered with,
absolutely,
and late hit on that they didn't call.
Pick one. Somebody tweeted that out. Pick one of these 3.
That was a
calls.
funny tweet. Where, that was the season right there. He makes that catch, and I'm sure that he thinks he's responsible for it. But he had all those things going on. That would have put him in field goal position and probably won the game. But even there, on the last play, the Rams went to Puka.
And he's so physical. And we saw that in college. Do you remember that Baylor game a few years ago when BYU was really struggling to get anything going? Except Puka. No matter what they did, or no matter who they put on him, you just threw the ball up to Puka, and he went and took the ball away from the defenders. And at that time, we're like, wow, this is one of the most physical receivers BYU's ever had. He reminded us of Austin Collie. We're like, he's like Austin. He just goes and he's just more physical than the DBs. And the thing that has gone underrated with Puka is his ability to get separation is a combination of that strength, but his acceleration, I don't know, his top end speed, when you time him, is not indicative of his speed on the football field. Right. And then his top end speed does not relate or correlate the way it normally does for a person with their ability to accelerate out of a break. His ability to accelerate out of the break and get separation, especially if he's coming out of contact, and they're not supposed to hit these guys, but they do. It's the best. He's one of the best in the game, period. And so they know in a play like that one last night, unless the guy wraps his arms around his waist and holds onto his shirt so he can't jump, physically, if you throw the ball in the right spot, he's just going to go beat the DB and make the catch, and that was a first down. Instead, he gets held, which should have been an obvious call, and game over, basically. Yeah. But that combination of physicality and ability to accelerate out of a break is as good as anybody in football.
Hey, the Rams lost. Their season's over. They got a team that can contend next year.
They're young.
So we'll see what happens. Neil's in from Tucson. Jonathan's in from Henderson, Nevada. Thanks, guys. Good to have you on the Wise Guys. Let's get into some hoops before Eric Minka joins us in a moment. And we'll have more football later on in the show.
Yes.
BYU, 13-3, 1-2 in the Big 12. They're number 20 in the AP Top 25 out today. The net ranking is 5. That's the ranking that the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee uses. 68 teams get in the big dance. So if your net's 5, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you're
in good shape.
You're in great shape.
Ken Palm, they're number 11. Joe Lenardi has them as a 5 seed. And there's an interesting thing. The remaining strength of schedule, BYU's number 16 in the country, which is the easiest of the other 13 Big 12 teams. They're all in front of BYU.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It's kind of crazy to think of. And BYU's their ability to get as high as they are in all of the metrics as early as they are, and we've talked about this in past weeks, really is really good for them because now they're in a league that even when you lose, the teams you're playing, their net and their Ken Pom and their and flat out AP and coaches ratings are so high that you don't get dinged for a loss, especially for a loss on the road. You maybe lose ground, and what we saw, they drop a couple of spots. The fact that they've lost twice this last week and they're still net 5 tells you all you need to know about this league. And I don't know if you saw Mark Pope's post game where he was mic'd up in the post game after they won that game at Central Florida. He came to the locker room and he just said, "Isn't this awesome? Don't you love to just compete at this level where every game is a dogfight and you just go out and you just have to be fearless and not really even think about the result. You think about being who we are and competing, and then there's going to be games where they're going to come out and if you go 9-9 in this league, in fact, if BYU goes 7-11 in this league, they're a single-digit seed in the NCAA tournament. If they start out the WCC conference play 1-2, they already would have dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So this is great.
They're very much on the earth. Mark Pope picks up his 100th win in that victory at Central Florida. We congratulate him and his staff. Couple of observations now as we get ready for Iowa State tomorrow night, January 16th. Ali Khalifa is the starting center moving forward.
Right.
17 points against UCF. His ability to hit the three means that someone has to guard him, and then his ability to hit the cutting man to the basket because the guy down low is out guarding him makes that offense run better. And I would have never thought that was the case when we sat in practice during the summer thinking, okay, Foose is going to have to be Superman for this team. Now, Foose, his role's changed with this team because this is a run-and-gun three-point shooting team, and he's not a run-and-gunner. And now he's got to work his way back in.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because without Foose, they kind of had to make an adjustment to change the style of play, right? They had to go to where they run a lot more motion on the outside, 4 out and one post player, but that one post player plays primarily high. Where he and once in a while you'll see Khalifa down on the low block and he'll catch one down there. But he's more comfortable coming out, setting a pick for a pick and roll, or coming out and catching the ball high and having the ball in his hands and being the decision maker with a dribble handoff or there as a running players by him and back cutting. That's where he's comfortable. So they've morphed into this team, and what they found out is they're unbelievably efficient when they run the offense that way. So now Foose comes back in, and it's very apparent they're trying to figure out how to integrate him back in to what they're doing. You could see it. It's like visibly like, Foose isn't quite sure what his role is supposed to be offensively, and the other players aren't quite sure. Do they go back to when he's in the game to throwing the ball down into the post, waiting for the double team and kicking it and rotating the ball? And I think the answer is he looked a lot better in Central Florida and a lot more comfortable than he did at Baylor. And a lot more comfortable at Baylor than he did. So I think they need to learn to play both ways depending on who's in the game, because there's going to be games when I think about Houston coming to Provo, with all the length and athleticism they have on the perimeter. They may just take away BYU's ability to shoot threes. BYU's going to have to be able to throw it down into the post, and they're going to and Foose is going to need to demand a double team to get that team in rotations so you can kick the ball back out and get those threes you want to get. I think they need to learn how to do both. I think they've made some progress, but it's very obvious that Foose was out long enough that they adjusted the way they were playing, and now they've got to adjust back to when he's in the game.
Let's ask another big man.
Yes.
Our first guest was a dominant center at BYU. Scored 29 points, grabbed 17 rebounds in the Cougars' 2017 upset at number 1 Gonzaga. He's on the mend, expected to resume his professional career in the G League here in a week or so. Our pleasure to welcome Eric Mika to the Wise Guys. We've been planning this for some time, and tonight it has come to pass. Eric, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And I know
Always
Eric,
a pleasure to see you guys.
If you were listening in, like the nice part about Eric is He can do both what Ali does and what Foose does.
Yeah.
Which makes Eric.
There you go. There you go. I like
Eric
to hear that.
special,
Like to hear
right?
that.
It makes Eric special because Eric can go down and play with his back to the basket, but he's athletic enough to come out and play with the ball in his hands and face up and do all that. That's why he's played professionally for so many years and why he's in the G League. It's nice to have somebody that can do both of those things. Eric's a guy that can do it both.
So what would you do, Eric, as you're trying to balance Khalifa and Traore in this scheme, and they're two very different centers?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard. We actually kind of touched on that when you and I spoke last week with Jerem, Dave.
Yeah, on Sports Nation.
And a story that came to mind that I didn't share, but that just comes to mind again is when I got hurt. So I'm going to get I wouldn't know the dates, but it was against San Diego. So it was in conference, and I got pump faked by this shooter. I can't remember his name. He pump faked me in the corner, and I went sailing over him, and he kind of went up, so he could get the shot technically off and get his 3 free throws. And I came toppling over him, landed on my hip, and my leg went numb. My left leg went numb. So I remember I was out for probably 2 or 3 games, but it was very, very short period of time. And I came back. My first game back, I think, was against Santa Clara at Santa Clara, and that was like the first time, it was a real freshman moment. I had a lot of those that year. But it was the first time that I had ever kind of lost my role, that quickly. That's how quickly the guys had to adjust. They had to move on. They had to say, okay, we don't have Eric. We can't rely on what, we relied on him previously for. And so guys need to step up. Guys need to play a little bit differently. And it was a real tough stretch for me trying to insert myself back into that rotation in an effective way and kind of get back to my game, get back to that groove that we had before the injury. So, I just want to preface it by saying it's not easy.
Right.
You're trying to win every single game. You want all your guys taken care of. You want everyone to look good. You want everyone to feel good and everyone to have an opportunity to, I would guess all these guys want to play at the next level, right? But at the end of the day, you're trying to win games as a team today, right? So they obviously did a really, really good job of that. They figured it out. They said, okay, we don't have Foose for X amount of time. I'm sure they were conservative in bringing him back so that he wouldn't re-injure himself. The Big stepped up in a big way, and the team figured it out. So I said this last week as well. It's a good problem to have. You want to have so many options that you're trying to fit them all in. And I think it's just going to take time. I think it's going to be matchups. I think Pope and his staff are going to have to look from a game-to-game standpoint. Okay, where do we need, like you guys were talking about, where do we need to generate a little bit more offense going inside out versus the other way around? Where are teams picking up and adjusting on how we play with Ali? And so they're picking on him for X, Y, and Z. Therefore, we need to generate something out of the post or create mismatches and draw those double teams. All those things. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a good problem to have, and I think it's just going to take time. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a game-to-game basis.
Eric Mika is with us here on the Wise Guys. Let's get a health update on you. Let's start with that. What's your timetable for getting back with Ignite in the G League?
Hopefully just a couple weeks. I'm running on this machine called the Alter G that will let you run on 50% of your body weight. And so we started that a couple weeks ago, and we've ramped it up to about 85%. So pretty close. I mean, I would hope that next week is close to 100%, and then it's just a response game from there. How does it respond to running 100%? Okay, now we can put some contact in there. How does the knee respond to that? Okay, let's go play full practice and on and so forth. So I think we're close. I think we're looking at a number of weeks, but I'm really excited. It's been a long season just sitting there on the sideline. It is not very fun when you don't get to contribute.
And you like working with us, but you much rather be playing, obviously.
Yes.
Ignite is based in Henderson, Nevada, that metro Las Vegas area. Dave's really familiar, was a sports anchor and a news anchor down there forever and ever. What's it like playing in the G League?
We had a game today, It finished like 2 hours ago. We played against the Stockton Kings, who are the affiliate with the Sacramento Kings. That's where I was for a season.
Right.
And they only had 9 guys, I think, today, because there's so much up and down of the two ways. You have assignment guys down. Who knows? Maybe someone was sick, someone got cut. The G League is so unique in that you can have a roster of 8 or 9 guys that will come and kick your tail. But then I was looking, and that's what they did today. But then I was looking at their roster. All 9 of them have played NBA minutes, like a lot of NBA minutes. Some of them, 3 or 4 of them were rotation guys for different teams at different points. So you have current guys, you have guys that are on their way up, you have guys that have been there and then for a number of reasons are just trying to make their way back. So the G League is loaded with talent, absolutely loaded with talent. So it's been really cool to be part of that sort of journey for the G League, because I do think it was strong 3 or 4 seasons ago when I was there with Stockton, but it's gotten even better. I mean, exponentially better year after year. So it's a lot of fun. Night in and night out, you see some really good professionals. I think it's the second most talented league in the world.
Scott Mackey from Drummond, Montana. The Mackeys are on the Wise Guys tonight. Check it in as we continue our global live stream. We're with Eric Mika, former Cougar, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, ysguys.com. Our weekly podcast available tomorrow. BYU beats UCF Saturday by 5. There are 15 more games to go in the Big 12 before the tournament. Starting with Iowa State tomorrow night, Tuesday, in Provo. Where do you think the Cougars go from here?
I think we get this. I mean, first and foremost, it's a tough league, and you have to just take it one day at a time. I get the speculation. I get people making predictions and constantly checking, kind of the pulse of the program and what people are saying about it. Like, I think it's awesome. I understand it. But I'm sure the team and I'm sure the staff collectively are just looking at it one game at a time, one day at a time. What can we do today to get better, to give us the best possibility for a good seed come March? Like, obviously their mind is on March and the big dance, but all they can do is focus on themselves, get better, and take it one day at a time. I think we go and get this win. I know Iowa State is another very, very good team, but we let that Cincinnati game slip at home, and I like the way that we've been responding to things all season. So I do see us responding, getting our first home win, and kind of getting this momentum back and going like we had it before the conference.
This is a team or a league that fans, they see them go dominate in the preseason, and then they think, well, now they should just go dominate in the Big 12. Expectations are this is a single digit seed. They're in the net. They're number 2. Were they number 1 for a time? Did they ever get to number 1? I can't remember, but. How do you function if you're a player on that team, if you're coaching staff on that team? You talked about, but there's so much outside noise about expectations and what everybody thinks they should do. How do you focus and keep that out of play and just grind as a player?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think maybe this is a little bit out of left field, but I think we're able to handle that, and we're built well for that because of how deep we are as a team. You have a lot of guys that on any given night can step up and have themselves a game. And that's important because it doesn't matter the age, in college, pro, high school, whatever the level, like that outside stuff, I don't care what anyone says, it gets to you. After so much of it and after all the attention that this team has been getting, I'm sure they feel the pressure sometimes. And that's normal. So I do think their depth is a saving grace in that aspect. They have a lot of guys that, maybe you are feeling the pressure. Maybe you are, off a little bit one night. It's okay. We have someone else that's going to step up to the plate. So that's a huge deal. And, like you said, grinding, to me, when I visualize the word grinding, I visualize kind of your head in the sand. I said, yes, you're going to hear some of those things. When there's so much of it, it's impossible to keep all of it out. But as long as you just keep your head down and keep working, then, the positives, the negatives, the ups, the downs, eventually they're just gonna sound like white noise. And so as long as these guys trust in each other and their abilities to, help each other as teammates and that depth that I'm talking about, and that they focus on just getting better, right, improving, because that's what the rest of the conference is doing. I can guarantee that, game to game, they're going to be improving. They're going to be, working on every little thing possible to gain an edge over this BYU team. And so as long as we have the attitude of, well, we're going to do that too, then we're going to be fine.
Eric Mika's with us. You beat number 1 Gonzaga in 2017. So let me ask you, what was a better feeling? That night, winning that game on ESPN, or the night you won the national championship, the Max Preps title in 2013 with the Lone Peak Knights?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I want to lean towards the Gonzaga game, and not just because I'm on a BYU show.
Yeah, this isn't a Lone Peak show.
I just feel like I feel like the Lone Peak one was an amazing achievement. Looking back, especially, it's easy to kind of realize how big of a thing we accomplished, something that we had been working towards for a long time. But just something about the underdog aspect of the Gonzaga game, I think, kind of nudges it over the edge for me. Lone Peak, we walked into that state championship game, and we knew essentially destiny was kind of in our own hands, but we also knew that we were going to take care of business. I mean, I think we played Alta and we beat them by like 40 or something. So, very fun, but also in a certain way a little anticlimactic. But Gonzaga, you talk about the season they had. They were 29-0. We had kind of a lot of ups and downs. We were dealing with a lot of things internally. No one expected us to win. And then we start the game. We're down like 20-2 or 18-2 or something. So, I mean, we came out and we were playing scared and timid and right into their game plan. So I think being able to come back from that and just finally kind of put our foot down and say, no, we're a talented enough team. We can do this. And then go put together a game like that, I think was one of the more special moments of my career, for sure.
That one got you on SportsCenter, but the Lone Peak thing got you on Good Morning America.
That's right.
So that's two very different outcomes.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, we're going to fast forward you now to February 2020. You make your NBA debut with the Sacramento Kings against the Lakers. You had 6 points. You had 7 boards in 19 minutes in that game. What did it feel like to finally be stepping out onto the floor, living your dream? I mean, you have been dreaming about that since you were a little kid, that you'd play in the NBA, and now you're out there and you're contributing. What was that like?
I mean, the actual moment where I got my name called was terrifying. I mean, there's no other word for it. I mean, all the prep, like you said, all the dreaming, the visualizing, the hoping, the praying, like so much had gone into this. And then it actually got to the moment, and I felt like I was going to collapse. Like it was just so terrifying to go out there. I think, it was just a whirlwind overall. That season I had been cut by the Kings. I was with the G League team playing really well. Then I went to China, got cut by the team in China, then came back, was with the Kings again, then got the call the day after a game. We had a game the night before, the G League did. We played the Memphis Hustle and got a call the next morning. I had no idea, who was hurt, because I had just moved felt like 10 times in the last 6 months. So, I wasn't religiously watching the Sacramento Kings and knew their schedule and their injury report list and things like that. So, I got the call that they needed me. And so I got down there. They were in the middle of shoot around, and Vlade Divac tells me, hey, thanks for coming in. We're excited to have you. We love you with this team, and blah, 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 a bunch of, whatever. And and then I look, they're in the middle of the shoot around. And so I talked to one of the assistant coaches and I said, well, it looks like we have a game tonight. Who are we playing? And he's like, well, we're playing the Lakers. and it all just kind of, so that was like moment number one. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to play against LeBron tonight. And then he proceeds to sit me down in the team kind of cafeteria area and show me film, because I had missed most of shoot around because, they called me late. he sat me down and showed me film on Anthony Davis and LeBron. And he's telling me when AD catches it, we're going to do this. We're going to send him this way. When LeBron catches it, we're going to double in the post. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. He tends to do this. And I'm just sitting there like, there's no way I'm going to guard LeBron. And if I do, I'm not sending him left. Like, it doesn't matter. He's going to score on me, And so there was a real like realization of how deep I was in it at that point. And then, like I mentioned, when I actually got the call, because it was early into the first quarter, Coach Walton called me and my legs were shaking. Like, it was a dream. I think someone on the front row said that they liked my hair. And I kind of laughed at that. But then I went out and the first play, the whole Lakers defense is yelling at me, talking trash, and telling AD to run an ISO for himself out of the sideline, out of bounds, because I'm guarding him. And I'm just like, come on, like, talk about being thrown in the fire. I'm guarding Anthony Davis, and they're telling him to go at me from the jump. And so he did. He got the ball. He ISO'd me. He went right at me. My legs kind of gave out, but I turned it into a foul and just brought him down with me. And there's nothing like a good foul to kind of get you to settle into the game. And so that's what I did. And it was great from there. But those first couple of moments were exhilarating, to say the least.
I love you say that, Eric, because your quarterbacks always say, "Oh, you know what? Once I just get hit once, then I just start to play." And you're saying, "Hey, once I went out and just fouled somebody, and then I was good to go, right? Just had to foul them, and then all the worries were gone." I love that.
That's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. BYU star Eric Mika on the Wise Guys. He averaged 20 points and 9 rebounds during his final season with the Cougars in 2017 before leaving school early to go play basketball. By the way, Glenn from the Philippines joins us on our live stream tonight. So when we say global, Eric, we're not messing around.
Yeah, Eric, this podcast in Panama, in the Philippines, in Japan, and it's crazy where people listen into this live stream. It's fun.
It's a perfect setup for this next question.
Very cool.
Your career, and you mentioned it a moment ago, taking you and your wife Gabby all over the world. You've been on teams in Italy, France, Serbia, China, Germany, NBA, now the G League. When somebody like us asks you, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on this basketball journey, outside of that Lakers story, what do you tell them?
I don't know. You got me, man. There's too many things. I'll give you one that's a little bit different. This one's kind of fun. So when we were in Italy, so we played there my first year after BYU on a first division team. The next year I signed with another team in the same league that was, better. They played in European competition. I had a really good rookie year, and so I got picked up by a better team. But I came into that season hurt, and I'm prefacing this with like the longest backstory ever, but
it's gonna be
I came
good.
in hurt, or recovering from a knee surgery, strangely enough. But so I eventually got basically parted ways. We'll say parted ways. It was mutual. So I parted ways, and mid-season ended up in Germany. With actually David Stockton, who I had played against,
at Gonzaga,
freshman year. So 2013. Yeah. While I was at Gonzaga, we were on the same team in Germany. And what was crazy was in Europe, high level basketball, sports, basically anywhere, you don't get many days off. If you get a day off, it's usually at least some treatment, at least some type of walkthrough or film. And the same goes for Europe. We didn't get many days off. You're going to get a couple days in November and February when there's national team breaks. But there was this weekend, I think it was like the German All-Star game or something. And so we got 2 days off, and our coach said, no, we got a day off, and our coach said, "Hey, I'm going to give you another one. So you guys get 2 days off." I mean, and we're like jumping for joy. And what's crazy was that was in February of 2019. And that was the same weekend that the Rome temple got dedicated.
Oh,
and so it was like so many things had to go right, and the timing had to be perfect.
And
so it's one of those stories where
people need to know you served in Italy, right?
yes,
You served your mission
so
in Italy, and you're
served
fluent in
Italy,
Italian. Yeah.
and my wife also served there as
Yes.
well. So we both served there. We had lived there for the last year and a half, and then something that we thought we'd love to go see. They talked about the dedication of the Rome Temple for 15 years before it actually happened.
Right.
Another thing that lined up was in my last area in Italy. I actually got really, really close, with a family that I'm still very close with today, who happens to be the main architect for the temple, for the project. So, if I don't know him as well as I do, if I don't get that day off, if, all these things don't line up. So I actually texted him. He got me a ticket. I don't know if you'd call it a ticket, but, they reserved us. Yeah, they reserved us 2 seats. And then this is where it gets crazy. This is where it's like, all right, this
was meant to be, right? This was meant to be.
It wasn't just handed to us, but we're going to the airport. I think it was the Munich airport. It was just like an hour and a half away from us. And so we're driving to the airport, and there's this huge crash. It's obviously cold in February. So there's snow. It's freezing. We can't just turn off our car. We're waiting in traffic for so long for this to clear up that we run out of gas.
Oh, no.
And yes. And so, oh my gosh. And then, of course, later on, we find out we're like a half a mile from this gas station. So we, maybe could have gotten out and just ran, but like we didn't know because our phones don't have great service over there. So we're just stuck on the side of the road. Luckily, someone from the team drove about 45 minutes to get us some gas. But at that point, we missed our flight. So we're scrambling. We're freaking out. We end up buying last-minute flights out of another airport. So we end up driving to another airport that was in another direction, Nuremberg airport, that's a little bit smaller. And we got a flight that we barely made it in time for. To Amsterdam, we had a 12-hour layover. And then take our second flight the next morning. So we stayed in a hotel, get to Rome. I mean, we got off the plane into an Uber and to the temple about 15 minutes before they closed the doors.
Oh, man.
Like it was as close as you could get. And then, as if that wasn't already like a stressful enough 48 hours, I had to be back for the Monday or Tuesday morning practice, whenever it was. To be back in time, I had to take an overnight train from Rome back to Munich. So literally the temple dedication ended. My wife stayed in Rome for a couple of days with some friends, and I left on a train that I slept on all night so that I could make it to practice the next morning.
But here's the question, Eric. Was it all worth it?
It was all worth it.
There we go.
It was very, very special to be a part of that right as it was happening and see so many familiar faces and, knowing what that meant to people in Rome and all of Italy was very special. So, what a crazy story, just because living in Europe is crazy as a foreigner, playing there is crazy, and then trying to travel and do all these things with, the schedule that we had was even crazier. So it was a good one.
Just for so Eric, last week I was in Rome and we went out to the temple, and
cool, very cool.
It is amazing. And the visitor center there, first of all, it's strikingly beautiful, but the visitor center there with the 12 apostles and the Christus statue in the center is breathtaking, isn't it? It's just amazing. Yeah. But when you started to tell the story, I'm just like, that's right. Eric and Gabby both served in Italy. To get to be there for the temple dedication is an amazing thing. So those things don't just happen.
No.
No.
Hey, Sean Olmstead is going to join us here in a couple minutes. We got one last question for you. Then Blaine's going to hit you up with 5 questions. We're on with Eric Mika.
Right.
In what ways have you experienced this influencing power of being a professional athlete, former BYU star, returned missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on young people? In what ways have you noticed that influence that you have?
That I think is the biggest draw, or has become the biggest draw of Ignite. There's so many pros of being here. I love Henderson. I love being connected to the NBA. I love, how good the G League is, like I talked about earlier. I love the opportunity that it's giving me to show who I am as a player. But the number one thing, the number one reason I wanted to come back personally, for a second year, and we had plenty of options overseas. We had training camp offers, but I love being a part of these young men, their development, their lives, just being an example to them, helping them in their own personal journey and professional arc. It's been very special, and it's something that I've loved to do for a long, long time. Is being connected to, young men and women. Obviously, in this profession, it's with young men, and just hopefully rub off on them the way that some really, really special and amazing people rubbed off on me when I was younger. I was so lucky to have incredible parents, older siblings that looked after me, older siblings, friends, coaches, mentors, and still today. I mean, there's so many people who I owe so much to, that have positively impacted me when they didn't have to, and went out of their way to help me. And so I just want to be one of those people, give back to the next generation of athletes so that they can have what I didn't, or that they can experience the good that I did. And just, leave an even bigger impact. I just think it's all, it's all part of the same flow, and it's going to be exponential. Whoever helped the person that helped me, might have helped them just a little bit. Then I got helped a little bit more. Then, I'm just trying to help a little bit more to the next guy, and it's just going to snowball and hopefully make the world a better place, right? It's all about just the one drop in the ocean, I think, makes a big difference. And so I've absolutely loved that part of the role.
Well, you're doing it. We congratulate you. And we're proud of you. It's been fun to watch you develop. This whole interview is led up to the next 30 seconds. You ready?
Yeah, the 5 questions. You're not only, you can't even think about these. You just answer them. Just fire up. Now, Sean doesn't have to do it because he's been on the show before. He's done this. So we have his on record, but you're going on record now. Your favorite sports movie?
Remember the Titans.
You know what? I'm going to say in 2 years, that's the most popular.
It's good.
It's such a good movie. So Remember the Titans, it is.
It's just classic.
It's so good. Your favorite singer or band? This is very telling one, by the
way. Man.
Sean's is the Grateful Dead.
I'm trying to think who I absolutely listen to the most. Right now I'm on a real country kick. I'm going to say Morgan Wallen.
Oh, yeah. Morgan Wallen's great. My wife is on a Chris Stapleton kick right now. So he's got very unique.
He's great too.
Yeah, your favorite breakfast cereal?
I knew this was coming, and so I was already thinking about it. I'm going to go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
All right.
That is also one of our most popular. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, very popular. Again today, my pregame meal was Cinnamon Life. So
that's nice.
Yeah, it's always good.
Also,
and doesn't
also
upset.
very solid.
Yeah, very solid choice. So your favorite BYU moment, and this doesn't have to be on the basketball floor. We talked about, but this could be anything that happened to you at BYU that's your favorite moment.
Oof. A lot of good ones. I'm going to go with getting into the big dance my freshman year, the selection Sunday at Coach Rose's house. I think I blacked out. I was just so excited. I was screaming so loud. So that was a good one.
That's awesome. I love it.
Number 5.
Yeah, this is the most important. Favorite piece of advice you've ever gotten from your wife, Gabby?
Oh, too many gems.
We only send the best
favorite
at you.
piece of yes.
Favorite piece of advice she's ever given you?
I mean, I can't. I feel like I need her, pump up speeches almost daily, and I can't think of one particular thing, but I just feel so lucky to have her, and I think anyone who has this in a partner is lucky, and that's being able to keep me high when I'm feeling low and keep me low when I'm feeling high. She has just so much perspective. She knows me so well personally that she knows exactly what I need to hear, when I need to hear it, oftentimes earlier than I even need to hear it. So, I couldn't give you just one line, but she's good, man. She's good.
Right.
She knows,
I love that.
She knows me
So,
to a T. She knows what I need to hear.
She's your personal hype squad, which everybody needs, right? So
Yes,
Hey, Eric,
yes. But if my head's ever getting too big,
then she can
makes
bring
sure
you down.
She grounds me a little
keeps you
bit.
level.
That's
She
their
keeps you
job.
level. I love it.
They enjoy that part of the job,
The
too.
perfect
Yeah,
balance.
they like
do
that.
enjoy
They
that.
like that.
Yes.
Hey, tell us about your podcast real quick. What it is and where folks can find it.
Yeah. You can find it anywhere you find your podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's called Now for Later. If you type that in or type in Eric Mika, honestly, you'd find the same thing. It's just kind of my own personal journey of figuring out what I'm going to do next. I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of really energy and effort to displace into this. I can't be working 2 jobs as I prepare for life after basketball, but I can interview high-level people that are in all sorts of different cool projects. All of them are former athletes. Some finished in high school, some finished in college, and a lot of them played in pro for a long time. So some very cool names have come on the show, which has been a lot of fun. And it's just kind of helped me, figure out what's next and be willing to put myself out there, learn new things, fail at different things, and also have something outside of basketball now to sort of, have that work-life balance and develop my voice and figure out who I am and what I want. I think those are important things in life, and the podcast has helped me do it.
Hey, when you get LeBron on your show and you can talk to him about the night you took him to school in February of 2020.
Talk about AD and tell him how you hacked him and he didn't make a shot. So, and by the way, we just put up the link.
LeBron hasn't been returning my text for a while, so I don't know if he'll be on the show.
We put up the link to Eric's podcast in the chat, so anybody that wants to check it out, go ahead and click on that link. It'll take you right to where Eric is, and you can check him out on his podcast.
Hey, we're proud of you. Keep healing. Let's get back on the floor here in a couple weeks, and we look forward to having you back on the show and back as a BYU TV basketball analyst anytime we can get you. Very talented guy. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Great to hear from you.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you guys.
Eric Mika, big center at BYU, took down #1 Gonzaga, healing up his knee, be back in the G League here, as you heard, in a couple of weeks. And what a great example of a BYU Cougar out in the world.
And I remember that his first gig was in Italy, and I thought, how appropriate is that his first professional gig was in Italy, where he and Gabby both served their missions, and so they went back. They're both fluent in the language. They were very comfortable there, and influenced a lot of people, not just on their missions, but when he was playing basketball over in Europe. So,
all right, let's turn to some volleyball. BYU is 3-1. If we get the coach's attention, come on over, Sean. Cougars are 3-1, ranked #9 in the country. Lost at number 15 Lewis 3-2. Beat number 10 Loyola Chicago 3-2.
This is casual. I like this.
Some big road battles.
that's the fun part.
We were just saying, we'll let you get those headphones on.
Okay.
This week at Santa Barbara, Friday and Saturday.
I don't know what's in this box, but I'm just going to let people see what this.
Hey,
looks cool.
That's cool.
We don't come empty-handed.
So
this is awesome.
We were just saying earlier in the show, is being the men's volleyball coach the coolest job on campus?
Oh, easy. Hands down. Yeah. I mean, if I'm not... I guess if I can't be Brian Santiago, and just,
who just is in charge of
He's
everything.
He's going to hear this down the road.
Yeah,
he's going to be knocking.
Right.
And if I can't be Brian and, getting to partake in all these wonderful events, then why not be Sean Olmstead?
Well, we were thinking about it, and we talked about this with you last time you were here. There's a cool element about volleyball. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no beach at the Smith Fieldhouse, but volleyball came from the beach.
Yep.
Most of your teams from California, Vegas,
warm places, right?
Warm places, and there's a vibe around that sport in there.
Oh, 100%. It is kind of that laid back lifestyle, that you go back to the, where the sport comes from and where it flourishes, and on the beaches of California, the Hawaii, countries like Brazil, right. And it is just kind of a lifestyle. It's, take the volleyball down to the beach. That's what I did, and that's where Heather and I came from, is we were on the beach every day, just with our family, with our friends. We would spend all day, and the sun would go down. We'd grab our stuff, and we were lucky to just walk home. I'd ride my bike or my skateboard, and mom and dad still live down there, and that was the lifestyle, and that's very common down in Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, San Diego. And so you get so many, it's of course grown, the sport's grown, but it is a very just low-key, laid-back.
Has that helped create that atmosphere at the field house? Because the students are from all those places.
Yeah.
And they pack it.
100%. And they're just, I think that is something to say with their personality, who our players have been, and their interaction with everybody, with you guys, with the fans, and people appreciate it and enjoy it. And, we were just back there chatting right now about the interactions they've had with some of my guys, and he's mentioning just the wonderful people that kids like John Stanley are, the Will Stanleys, Mix, and you can go on. And I comfortably can say that our guys can walk into any place, and within a matter of minutes, I'm getting people coming and just saying, wow, your guys are awesome. And I think most BYU athletes, let's be honest, I think there's something about them.
The level of athlete at BYU in terms of their person, who they are and their character and all that is like off the charts. It really is.
For sure.
Especially so in volleyball. It's an interesting thing, just an observation. You tell me if I'm way off on this or if this is on. The nature of the origin kind of the sport that you just described, it makes for, so you go down to the beach and you play all day long. So it's not like there's not like hours and hours and hours of time that's committed to getting good in the sport.
Yeah.
Yet everybody I ever meet that's in volleyball, even at the highest level, they all just seem like they just love the game. Like it's not work, even though it's hours and hours, and it takes great dedication to be really good. They never feel like they're working, putting those hours in, because they love it so much. Is that off the mark, or is that true?
No, I think it's true, because look at it's an activity that you can take to the family reunion. And we can play that up Provo Canyon, Rock Canyon Park. We have the summer reunion, and we're going to take a volleyball and we're going to throw up a volleyball net, and we've got the coolers on the side. And so it kind of lends itself to that. You're going to put in work. Our guys, we put in work, but that it's almost more of a lifestyle sport, right? And we're not going to throw on the football pads and say, hey, we're going to go to the beach the whole day and knock on each other and just play. Because, the football players are going to go do what? They're going to go surf. They're going to go, do those. Any person's going to. And, but volleyball kind of finds itself there. Even basketball, it's a sport. Yes, people are going to play pickup. But how often do you see that being played nonstop all day at a family reunion type of event or a get-together?
It's good stuff.
So true.
I've got to ask though. You won a national championship, right, at BYU?
You did. Okay. You won.
No,
I did.
You
won 2 of them.
Well, I know. That's what my point was.
Hey, if I won 2
to 1, that's what I just heard. 2 to 1.
House, man. There's a couple of.
I just want to know. I mean, I won 2. Can I take my shoes and socks off?
Oh yeah, I never wear. Like
sometimes we
get.
I just wanted. I just was wondering.
There's
you've got one. I got 2.
Everybody that watches knows they're like, it's winter, and I go, I don't wear shoes on this show.
I love it,
and that's we're trying to create more of a volleyball vibe on the show.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
It's
I would have known.
You go barefooted. Like you can take your shoes.
I would have come in my board shorts.
Good sneaks on.
Yeah,
what are those
always.
sneaks?
These are the Nike Trail. That's
Nike
all
Trail.
I wear.
So you got good sneaks on, but you can always come on this show with hoodie and no shoes and socks. Absolutely, that's what the show's about.
Speaking of your national championships, 2001, 2004. Those 2 teams, since we were last together, were put in the BYU Hall of Fame this last fall.
Yeah,
what a night that was.
Oh,
you were the libero on both those teams. What did it mean to you to be enshrined like that with those teammates?
Yeah, I can't take credit for being the libero in the 2001 because I wasn't. And that goes to Fernando Pessoa, one of our Brazilian All-Americans.
You were libero in 4?
Yeah, okay. yeah. And we... it's funny, we were just at Lewis, let me back up, and we lost in 2003 in 5 sets in the finals. Not many people remember that. I mean, maybe they do, but it doesn't get talked about enough. And I think within a matter of weeks, they got stripped of that national championship. So I'm just saying it should have been 3.
Really should be 3.
No. But
they don't do that. Why don't they strip them, but they don't give it to you?
It's okay. It is what it is. But Man, what a great night. Yeah. And it was really, really, really important for me to get all of Carl's family here. Carl, his wife, Susan, was there, and Paul and Chris were there. It was awesome that we got Hugh McCutcheon to get out here, because that's we were lucky. He's retired now from coaching, but he stayed at Minnesota as an actual, he's in that athletic administration, but I'm sure they're, Hugh's amazing. He's brilliant. So I'm sure they're just using the heck out of him. He's some sort of I think it's a great position, especially for Hugh and what he's done. He's like a coach mentor for the coaches at Minnesota. So he moved into that administration role. So we were lucky to get him because normally he'd be in season.
Yeah.
And, Ryan Millar and,
loved watching Ryan play.
Steve Hines and Matt Olson, Mac Wilson, Scott Bunker, just so many of the guys could come. And it was a bummer that, they're always going to do it during football season.
Right.
Because we even talked to them when they told us, hey, we're only inducting these teams, no athletes. I said, all right, we've got so many great alum that were part of those teams that are coaching.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could do the banquet during our season? I actually proposed to them doing it next weekend when we have Irvine here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, just think, hey, let's think outside the box. And I understand that they couldn't. I totally respect that they always do it in the fall. But it would have been even, we would have had even more there than we did. But either way, it was awesome, and it was a great time.
It was nice to have the two teams out in front of 60,000 fans.
And I think that's the beauty of it is when you get that many fans live, 60,000 plus.
All three teams.
To really
99,
honor.
01, and 04.
That's a pretty special night. So I get that they want to do that. But to have more folks there. Yeah, Sean's team's in the Hall of Fame. My team's in the Hall of Fame as well.
There we go.
So we have that in common. So he absolutely can go barefoot anytime he wants.
I can. Next match, barefoot.
So with that experience, 01, 04, and a de facto national championship in 03.
Yeah, we'll give you that one.
Yeah, we're giving you that.
Now it's 3-1 over there.
So
3-1.
What kind of impact does having that experience as a player have on you that helps you now as you're coaching these young athletes and trying to go out and do that again?
Yeah, I think I talk with the guys all the time that, hey, if these are your goals, if this is what you want to accomplish, then, hey, my assistant coach, lost in an NCAA final. Devin did when he was with Taylor Sander and Chris was coaching him. So, very close. Hey, there's something to be said about someone that knows what it takes to win. That's to win a national championship.
That many in a row, right?
And I tell teams all the time, hey, if that's going to be your goal, once you make that decision, guys, this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
There's going to be hard conversations. There's going to be hard, moments and wins and losses and
injuries.
All of that, because that's all part of it. And sometimes I believe that kids, in anything, sometimes it's just, the goal's this, the goal's that. Okay, do you really know what that means? And so I try to tell the guys, hey, I'm all on board. Let's go. I'll roll up the sleeves. I'll stand shoulder to shoulder. I'll go head first into the brawl. I'll lead the charge. But you have to understand that it's just really, really hard. And it takes, being aware of so many things that at times, again, we just set that goal. And then you believe you're working towards that goal. But any team that wins a national championship in any sport, it is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And, we've been right there. So I've had the teams that have been there and been capable to compete for national championships. And so it's to answer that question, I think it's great to have a coach that says, okay, we did it. Now, what did that mean? What were the dynamics of the guys? What did that mean with guys that wanted to be starters and couldn't be and coming off the bench? And there's just so many dynamics.
And people forget. I know you don't forget because you experienced it. People talk about those seasons. They remember all the highlights. If you didn't play, you remember the highlights. And you remember how good that team was and how many they won. And you remember that they won the national championship. Very rarely they remember man, we were so lucky. I think back to 84. Oh man, we were so lucky to get out of that game with Wyoming.
Like 4 or 5 of those.
How did we pull that thing out?
100%.
In the end, because we were really fortunate because we did not play well. But I remember this guy did this, and this guy made a crazy play. I think back to Hawaii, and it's like, man, we're going to lose this game. They're going to score from the 1 yard line. Oh no, Kyle Morrell is going to leap over the line of scrimmage and tackle the quarterback going over the top of his head from the backside and make a play. And there's so many struggle points in a season that ends up with a national championship.
Absolutely.
And most people, everybody remembers the Kyle Morrell play because it was so.
Yeah.
But there were so many Kyle Morrell-like plays throughout that season that nobody remembers, but we all do. Mm-hmm. And I'm certain that in your national
100%.
championship seasons, you remember those moments where it's like, well, this had to happen. And we had to grind on that. And we had to get a little lucky on this one. And you remember them all.
Yeah.
Does that help to be able to remind the guys as you guys are on that quest again?
Yeah. I believe so, and I look back to my senior year and everyone knows that, okay, we won. Handful of people are going to remember that it was in Hawaii. Another handful of people are going to remember that it was against the 4th time we played Long Beach State that year.
Yeah.
That, and then a handful of people are going to, know, man, it went 5 sets. It went overtime. We were down 10-6 in the 5th set. You don't make that up in men's volleyball. We were down 12 or 13-9. I got to remember that. 13-9 in the 5th set.
Coming back from that just doesn't happen.
Nobody,
doesn't happen,
no, it does not. Long Beach State had brought out all the boxes, the NCAA. True story. Brian Santiago was there with us. The NCAA president brought their boxes with Long Beach State, started opening. It was over. But a lot of people don't know that we started that season 0-2. We went to Pepperdine, just got smacked. 3-0, 3-0. Nobody knows that. Yeah, national championship team. But those were the discussions that, hey guys, don't get rattled. Like this is a grind. This whole thing, like you said, all those games and all those matches. And so I do remind those guys. I try not to do it all too often because I think it just gets, here goes the old guy's just talking about himself. Here we go, Blaine.
He's bringing out the rings.
Uncle Rico, like, hey, look, you see that mountain over there in 1984? I could, so I try not to, but I do. If there's moments that I believe are applicable, of course, you've got to use them.
I love it.
BYU men's volleyball head coach Sean Olmstead's on the Wise Guys tonight. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. Before we talk about this team, we love this team.
Yeah.
We want to find out how much you love this team. But what kind of volleyball player would Puka Nacua have been?
Oh, man. Really,
he
really good.
He would be one of your shorter guys.
No.
Just in his
Here's what
athleticism.
Here's what he would be. Almost very similar to our John Stanley right now. Where Puka Nacua don't get me wrong, I don't need any beef with him. But he's gonna walk into a football stadium, and you can't tell me that 6 months ago, let's line up all the wide receivers in the NFL. How about that? Okay,
how does he even look?
Exactly. Yeah. He ain't going in the top. I don't know how many wide receivers there are in the NFL. He went in the 5th round
for Pete's sakes. He's the best rookie receiver in the history of the game.
Who's gonna pick him? What NFL coach is going to go that guy? Like, seriously, guys. Sure. And that's John Stanley. John Stanley's going to walk in the gym and no one's going to go that guy. But what he does is over time, you see that Puka, everything he does is a positive effect on the team. Mm. And so John Stanley does that. Like, he's not super imposing. We've got guys that are 6'9", 6'8", that are just built. But John, we see time and time again that his touches are positive. We score points. We go, we keep all these coaches. We all keep stats and we know what's going on. We see that when he's involved, things for us are on the positive side. We score points more. We side out more, all these kind of things. And so Puka would be very similar to that. I think he's not going to freak you out when he walks in. Okay, but he's going to go and do a wonderful job with great energy. And also, guys, he is going to get, this is what Puka does, from what I know, everyone is going to want to be around that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
And they'll play
that's
harder.
a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's the same with John. Everyone wants to be around John. Everybody. And so I think Puka does the same.
He's like we call them glue players. We call culture players.
Yeah.
And they're also talented. Like, because you can play on your team, you got to have talent. Puka's got to have talent.
Of course.
But they're guys that make everybody around them better, and they're invaluable. Yeah, that's awesome. When we talked to you last year, you're like, well, we're going to be good, but we're really, really, really young.
Yeah.
But this next year, which is now, when we get a bunch of these guys back, we're going to take a big step forward. It's still early, obviously, but how you feeling about that progress?
Oh, I still feel the same. We had a loss on the road. We were, just to Lewis on Saturday night.
15th ranked.
15,
Lewis.
13.
And Lewis has been good for a long time.
No, Lewis is
very good program.
Look, we were just talking there. Their ranking isn't fair. I think they are very, very, very good, actually. And that'll play out because the people that are looking go, oh, they lost on the road at Penn State in 5. They lost to UCLA at home, but people don't know that they in every category, they beat UCLA in that match. And UCLA, the 3 sets that they won had to go into overtime, and all of those 3 sets, they only beat them by 2 points. It was 25-23. The other ones were 28-26, 28-26. That's the number 1 team in the country is UCLA.
Right.
And Lewis was right there, and they beat us, and so now they've got 1 win. And so people just naturally are not going to rank them accordingly, even though the rankings don't matter to me. I know how good Lewis is. They had a second set, 18-10. We came back, lost 25-23. It's remarkable. Then we roll sets 3 and 4.
Right.
Like we were winning in the 4 sets 17-5.
Just on fire.
Just rolling. And then, we got up in the 5th set, and it was, we had the advantage. We were 12-11, I think, at a time. And just a couple points here or there, and it's kind of how the cookie crumbles, right?
Right.
Right. At that level, it's a play here, it's a play there.
It
right?
is.
A couple days earlier, you're at number 10
Loyola
Chicago, and you beat them 3-2.
And we beat them. We beat them. So yeah, I'm really happy because we played a really good Ball State here at home to open up. 2 wins in a row. And so as we were looking, I would go against anybody right now that said, like, I think we, and actually us and Lewis, there's no doubt in my mind because I've looked and it's there. You can't debate it. We've played the toughest schedules in the country. Yeah. Easy, hands down. It's not even debatable. It's not even close, actually. And so I thought that was, all of this is great for us, and it's a part of it. So really, really happy and excited about what we did. And honestly, on Saturday night, we made 3 huge subs that's as a coach, you're like, all right, 1 or 2, but man, I'm going to go 3 guys deep. Those guys changed that. That was when the score was like 17-5, somewhere around there, maybe a little earlier, and boom, boom, boom. So we're talking about 3 guys that can come off the bench, and then they stayed in sets 3 and sets 4. And, one of them actually dealt with a couple issues that I had to pull him out at the end of the 4th, and they were health issues, because I literally just got off the phone with somebody that was calling me wondering why I didn't put that person back in the 5th set. I was trying to explain that, hey, actually he couldn't go back in. And so maybe it would have been different. Who knows? But to be able to have those guys that came off the bench, change things. And now we know a little bit more about our team, not just the guys that started the match, but a handful of other guys that did an unbelievable job coming off the bench.
Let's talk about a few of these guys. By the way, all the home matches are live on BYU TV.
That's right.
The only live BYU Sports on BYU TV.
I know. We got it.
We can thank the MPSF and the success that Sean Olmstead's had, the head coach, on with us tonight.
Yeah.
Luke Benson, he's 6'7", Newberry Park.
What's his vertical?
He's like Superman.
Yeah,
it's something ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I should know, and I apologize, but he's touching almost up to 12 feet.
That's crazy,
and that's pretty darn athletic.
He's worth going to see by himself
because he's flying through the air.
Yeah.
So what makes him different from from the others on the floor, both the opponent and your squad?
No, I mean, the reality is he's been pretty blessed physically. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
he's a pretty strong guy. Go look at him, and he works hard at it. And Luke's, that's always stood out. Even when he was a freshman in high school, we saw this athleticism, and he's just grown into his body and filled out it. But he's really, really progressed as it relates to understanding moments and plays. Whereas years before, we saw glimpses of Luke, and it was unbelievable. And here's what the glimpses were last year. Nobody in NCAA volleyball, I don't know the last time someone's served on a radar at 80 miles an hour. And Luke did, and just blew up. The guy couldn't move out of the way, and an ace, and it became this highlight everywhere. But then he would go the next serve and just not so great. Now he's learned, and so he's progressed.
Consistent.
And so, the 80 might come. I bet we don't even see it, but I don't want to see it, if that makes sense.
You want consistency at whatever he can serve consistently, right?
Consistently and tough, which, hey, if you can give us 80, great. But the reality is, and we're keeping this every day in practice, and we're keeping track of mileage, and so that the guys can say, okay, this is that's the one where I can get in over and over again. And so Luke's done that. He's high in aces, very efficient attacking because he's just so big, but he's learned too. Luke he'd get up just as high, but younger Luke would try to just bounce every ball. Now he's learning to hit around the court, and touches come and deflections come. And then the moments where he can get the ball to the floor come, they're always going to be there. But understanding that has been a big thing for him.
I'm amazed at how hard they hit the ball at the net.
Yeah.
And you mentioned his ability to jump, touch 12 feet. For a guy who's 6'7", we do the math. That vertical's got to be through the roof. But it is almost impossible to return. And UCLA's had a guy this last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
When he's at the net, it's like, oh, that's going to be a point.
Yeah.
The velocity coming off a spike. What is it?
Same thing up in the 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. And it's
and unless you're on top of it, it's impossible, right?
It's hard. You're going to take a shot, and we tell the guys, hey, muscle up. And at times, all they can do is just move their body and try to get a shoulder, try to get a chest in there.
Get it up in the air.
Get it up in the air. Yeah. Try to, ball nose angles. Carl McGowan used to always talk to us about that.
Get two guys on the block and roof the thing, right?
Hopefully,
that's the thing.
That's where we want to get touches and slow things down, and then maybe we can get a better touch. And because that's the difference between women's volleyball and men's volleyball. I tell everybody, if a women's player misses a blocking assignment, you still got a pretty good chance that you can dig it. You can get in there and go, all right, here we go. You miss it with the guys, it's no chance. It's game over. It's game over. And so there's a lot of value in that, and that's where we got to be really, really good blocking. All
right, last question on Luke, and then Blaine's going to hit you up with some other guys.
Okay.
Have you seen, and the season's young, but you've seen him before, and he's got a lot of volleyball ahead of him, but are there moments when he's at the net flying as high as he flies where you've had tremendous athletes in your program, where you just kind of stop and go, did he just do that?
Yeah. I mean, of course.
Isn't that cool?
There's moments where the guys do that too, and the guys, it happens quite a bit at practice when things come together and there's Luke and you just see him go up and the guys just kind of start chuckling and you just go, oh, geez, like, that's not fair. They're kind of, it's like I did when I played, I'm like, come on, what happened to me? Why am I not there? And so I just had to check myself and remember, I can ball control better than those guys, so I'm going to play.
You're going to set them up.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, there's moments every day in practice that it's not just us. The guys are like, holy crap, like, what do you want us to do, coach, in that moment? I said, no, that's what we want Luke to get comfortable with.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Let's go to Mix.
Okay.
Mix Romanis.
Yeah.
And 6'6", he's a junior from Walnut Creek.
Yeah.
Another California kid. How's he progressing? What's he bringing to this squad?
He's bringing a lot of good experience, and the last 2 summers now, he's been able to return to Latvia. His mom and dad are from Latvia. So Mix has the dual passport, and so that allows him to go and play with that Latvian national team on the international level. And so that's been a really, really good experience for him because he sees volleyball at a whole nother level, and that's what he's done. And so he brings really good experience. He's been in the fire, and so he's pretty comfortable in those situations. But he's learned a lot, and he's continuing to progress and make strides.
I love it. Capono Brown, one of my favorite guys to watch. He's just a lot of personality and a great player. 6'5".
You get him from Stanford, so you get him from a
I know.
decent program.
Stanford transfer, kid from Honolulu, in his senior year now. He's just really fun to watch.
And he flies around, and he's got if the block messes up in front of you, like you're in trouble with with Capono.
Yeah.
That thing's coming fast, and Capono's not afraid to rip it. And it's lights out. That's could be coming at more velocity than what Luke can generate. He's got a really fast arm. And if you watch Capono play, like you said, people enjoy watching him because when he's attacking or serving, I mean, he's getting his hip, he's getting everything into that, which creates more velocity and thus what we see.
And he always seems like, I mean, all the guys seem like they're having a good time out there, but he in particular to me, and when we've been, he just feels like, I love this. I'm having fun. I'm killing the ball. I'm making it miserable for those guys, and I love it. I love dominating. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Does he seem to have that personality?
Yeah, but he's also, he's a Hawaii kid, and so he's pretty laid back. Yeah. He's very laid back. Great student. Obviously, he was at Stanford, but no doubt when it's time to play, and Hawaiian kids, I mean, they've had a ball in their crib, you know, and so volleyball, the outrigger, everything is just a huge part of that culture there.
How about Tion Taylor, 6'6", out of Vegas?
Yeah, I probably talked a ton about him last time. And so I think that right there, we went and did a clinic on Friday night because we played Thursday and Saturday. So they did a big local clinic with all the teams. UCLA was there. We all got a half an hour. So it was cool for the kids. Yeah. There was 100 and something kids there. And so we went over there with our team, and I just said to these kids, I said, hey, if you ever think your time's up or you can't do anything or, I don't know, whatever your goals might be, you got to look at this kid, Tion Taylor. Now, guys, this is a kid that nobody, including me, did not recruit.
Really? Nobody.
He didn't play club on Sundays, so it's hard at those national tournaments. Yeah. He was way into basketball, coached by Noah Hartsock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And loved basketball.
Was he at Shadow Ridge or something like that?
Whatever. Yeah. You're going to put me on the spot, but one of those. You guys would know. Yeah. And so we knew nothing. Guys, we knew nothing of this kid, but no one did. And we got some film, and when he went on his mission, he reached out to us, but his mother was just persistent, just nonstop. And we still didn't respond until our secretary at the time, back a handful of years, had worked at that same district in Las Vegas for a time, Terry Nita. And so she's like, hey, Sean, like, I'm sorry to bother. Like, she keeps bothering me because she knew the mom from back in Vegas.
Like, can you take a look at this
She's
kid?
just like, Sean, just like for me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've got the kids' emails. And we just couldn't, there wasn't much. And so then we looked. Then I kept looking again. Then I did make a few phone calls. And there was a couple people where I called and I said, wait, hold on. Like, okay, it's one thing if you can't play volleyball. But talk to me about, I'm seeing something on film that like, the kid looks like a freak athlete. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, yeah. I mean, no, if that he is. And I'm like, okay. So long story short, he had already gotten into BYU on his own.
Wow, which is not an easy thing to do these days.
No, very hard. Yeah. He got into BYU on his own. And so, one thing led to another. And we just said, hey, kid, might as well. Like, you're an unbelievable athlete. I like your attitude. I like all these things. I talked to Hartsock and we did all our homework. And so we're like, you're coming to BYU anyways. Come in the gym. We'll put you on an initial roster because you can do that, under the NCAA rules. And we'll see where it goes from there. And it wasn't long before we're like, this kid's unreal. And I mean, then he was raw, but credit to him because he just put his head down, never looked back, unbelievably confident, has become a darn good player that, he's last year he was number 2 in the country in blocking. And we're talking about a kid that all these coaches that know what we're doing recruiting wise, maybe we don't. Because that's something though that unfortunately gets lost too often. And it's hard. We're all trying to find that. How do you when...
How do you find that guy, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have the exposure.
So you're going to probably ask me what one of my favorite sports movie is. And I don't know if this could be considered a movie, but if you haven't seen The Brady Six, you're missing out.
The Brady Six?
Ah, come.
I've never even heard of that.
I might walk away.
Don't walk away.
Brady Six, I'm going to write it down.
Is that
writing it down.
Tom Brady and his 6 Super Bowls, or what are we talking about?
It's the 6 quarterbacks that got picked in front of Brady.
Okay. I
And
had a
they went,
feeling it had something to do with Tom
one
Brady.
becomes like this first round pick or something, becomes a goat farmer, and you got San Francisco passing on. But guys, it's fun.
The greatest player in the history of the game. Right?
It's fascinating because you guys will love it. And you're going to thank me next time you see it.
I'm watching it.
Because all my teams, we've watched it together. Is it like a Netflix documentary? Man, I burned copies years ago of it.
I'll find
and
it.
handed them out. And
The Brady Six.
At the end of it, it's going like it was like Mariota, who had been fired, and remember could have drafted Tom Brady. Like he got a quarterback in that class, if I'm not mistaken. The 49ers passed on him. Everybody did, but all Brady did was win. He came off the bench at Michigan and won. Yeah. And they still went back to Drew Hansen, right?
Yeah, remember, Drew Hansen was a coach's kid that was really good friends with the Michigan coach. And, like, I have friends that played on that team. They're just like, yeah, Brady was better.
But it goes into all that. And then at the end is one of my favorite lines is like, yeah, I mean, we all screwed up. Yeah. And I lost my job. Like, of
How
course.
did we miss this
And
kid?
then it goes, hey, here's what happened. We couldn't see that guy's heart. I couldn't open him up and see what that guy was made of.
Have you seen the draft room video of right before the Rams took Puka?
I don't think I have.
You Google it and go watch it.
Okay.
Because Sean McVay's going, I'm telling you guys, this kid. He starts talking about him.
Yep.
He's like, nobody understands what this kid brings to the game and how strong he is and how he does this and how he does that. I cannot believe he starts talking about it. This is who we're taking it, and I am pumped. And then they take him in the 5th round.
And not everybody agreed.
And everybody's like, well, maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But Sean McVay was the one guy.
Same thing.
That saw what, like, when you listen to Sean talk in the draft room, they act like he acts like he's getting a 1st-round draft pick.
Yeah.
And so he's the one guy.
Yep. But 100%, we're going to the combine. I mean, what do we get out of the 225 bench press? Like, seriously, guys, what do we get out of it? Nothing.
At the quarterback position?
Nothing.
I think I could still bench 225 more times than Tom Brady.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's
I love
Tion
that.
Taylor.
Okay, that's
Brady
good advice.
6,
Everybody
everyone.
out there, watch the Brady 6. And that's Tion Taylor. And if you get a chance to watch, he's a crazy athletic kid.
Oh, he's an
crazy
unbelievable
athletic kid. So
BYU men's volleyball coach Sean Olmstead hanging out with us on the Wise Guys. 4-time MPSF Coach of the Year. Has had BYU in the national title match 3 times. Most recently in 2021. What I love about your rosters, they're 4 Las Vegas kids.
Vegas
Taylor,
yeah.
Jackson 5, Jared Brady, my favorite, who I coach in Little League, and Cooper Jarman. Yeah. There's something about Vegas. We talked about it last time, but now this is more than any other city in America on your roster.
Yeah.
That Vegas still turning them out?
Yeah, no, 100%. They've been doing, they've been having volleyball at those schools, Palo Verde, Centennial. They've had great athletes in Vegas, and it seems to be growing in Vegas, grows and grows. And so we had Jackson Fife, actually. He was one of those 3 substitutions.
Oh, he was?
I guess with him, libero, you don't have to do an official sub. I think I threw 4. Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4 new guys.
4 new guys. Wow.
But the libero, you do not have to officially sub. They wear that jersey. He can just go in at any time between rallies. Fife, 100%, was a massive part of that change. And he's doing it every day in practice, and we've been playing another libero, and Jackson's, he is like hands down the greatest kid to have on the team. Bar none. He is just an outstanding young man. I don't know what his mom and dad did, but they should write the book as it relates to parenting. That kid looks you in the eye, shakes your hand. He knows when to go reach out to a kid that needs an arm around the shoulder. He knows how to interact with his teammates. And that, again, is the Puka Nakua thing. Like, guys want to be around him. They want to be around him.
Yep.
I don't know the Taylor parents, but I know the 5 parents. I know the Brady parents.
Do you know the 5
Jarmans.
parents? Yeah,
we know the Brady parents. In fact, He was in my when I was serving up on campus in Bishopbrick. Brady was in my ward. What a great kid.
Yeah, awesome kid, awesome family.
Anyway, we're glad you have Vegas kids on there.
It's good. It's good.
Let's talk about the schedule you got coming up. We'll finish up with the head coach. Thanks for being here.
Oh, yeah.
We're so glad
I know
to
we're
have
in the
you.
season and all that stuff, but
Awesome.
You hit the road for Santa Barbara Friday and Saturday, and then quickly after you get a day off Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday with Princeton on BYU TV. It's unique to have an Ivy League school here on a Monday, Tuesday.
And that's, yes.
And that's cool.
And that's, they reached out to me and they said the way their calendar goes, I don't think they start school till a little later. So he does this every year. He's been on the road. Princeton's been on the road since not Sunday, yesterday, because today's Monday, right? So the previous Sunday, he said, text me, Sean, we're heading out. They will not go home to the East Coast until after their match here. So they've been playing Irvine. They'll stay in California. And so he reached out to me and just said, hey, Sean, what do you think? I know it's outside the box. And I was like, let's do it. And I had to call BYU and go, our admin, because Monday nights is, they traditionally, but now with the move to the Big 12, we're seeing more and more. We had soccer games on Monday.
Hey, there's not a better thing to do on Monday night than take your family to a game.
And BYU was awesome about it. They didn't think twice about it. They were like, great. And it is unique. And guys, this is going to be something we have never done. Today at practice, that was my spiel. Gentlemen, here we go. This is the most unique 2 weeks we've ever been in. Because we're going to go on the road to Santa Barbara. We got to come back, not even be able to practice.
Not on Sunday, yeah.
We can't practice. We can't do anything. I can't have film. I can't do anything.
It's a dead day. It's not only is it Sunday at BYU, but for an athlete, right? Yes. You have to have a down day.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it as well. So you're right. But we can't do anything. I can't do film. I can't do team meetings. I can't do. So we're going to come back and essentially play Monday, Tuesday. And then we're going to go Wednesday, Thursday, and we got a top 5 team in Irvine coming to Provo Friday, Saturday.
You have
pretty wild.
You do have a month-long homestand, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's the genius
so you got
of the
Irvine
strategy there.
on the 26th and 27th.
Who gets to be at home a whole month?
And then Long Island on February 8th and 10th. They're going to make a trek out. Grand Canyon is a really good program, the 16th and 17th of February. And then you cap that homestand off with number 1 UCLA coming into the house.
Are they going to still be? Are they good enough to still be number 1 when they come in?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
The last,
got a few bucks in my wallet,
last UCLA team that I remember coming into Provo number 1 was women's soccer this fall. Oh, yeah, the women took care of them.
Yeah, well, no, they're good. They returned almost, I think, everybody from that lineup that won the national championship last year, which is great. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's fun.
So is it more beneficial to have 5 matches or opponents at home over that month, maybe 6, but then you go to Stanford, Pepperdine, get Concordia at home, and then at USC? Is Stanford, Pepperdine, and USC, are they as tough as they've been in the past?
Yes, Stanford's undefeated. USC's undefeated.
So is that brutal?
But that's the MPSF. It's like the Big 12. I was asking, I was on the phone with Santiago, or I ran into him, and I couldn't remember. And, man, props, by the way, to our basketball program. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing phenomenal. Yeah.
I remember, my neighbors or my colleagues, we're down at BYU. I'm not going to lie. Like, out of all the teams, it's like, man, basketball's going to the buzzsaw.
It's the biggest jump.
Right. And so, guys, that's credit to the guys, the coaches, Pope. Like, that's unbelievable because, man,
they're playing fearless, and they're and they're more talented than people give them credit for. Mark went and assembled a really group of long.
Exactly.
And Dave and I experienced this during the preseason when opposing coaches were coming in. We'd sit down with the opposing coach, and they go, "Well, first off, man, these guys are so long and so athletic. I mean, they're your typical Power 5 conference team."
Yeah.
And we keep looking at each other, going, "They are, aren't they? Like, they have length, and they're athletic, and they can shoot it, and they can." So, we've talked a lot about it. They've done a phenomenal job. And, hey, in this league,
you don't have to win all the games.
You go 9 and Kansas won the league last year and was one of the teams that people thought could win a national championship. And the last 5 games in conference.
Yeah.
That's how good the conference is.
So that's what I'm getting at. Talking with Brian, I'm like, man, they've done so cool, and I'm so excited. And, their first Big 12 game, I think they lost. And it was like, hey, now this is what is anticipated. I mean, you guys got, I didn't even realize, you got Iowa State here tomorrow night? Like,
Yeah, they're number 10.
That's what I'm saying.
It's two top 10
BYU's
net
going to have a
teams.
shot. We're going to have a great shot, guys.
Actually,
Mark
they're
my
number
words.
9, I think, today.
We're going to fill it up, and I promise you, we're going to have a killer shot. But here's what I'm saying is, Pope, that's day in and day out. It's very similar in our conference. So
you've been doing this for a number of years in this conference.
When they start complaining to the coaches meetings, I put my feet up on the table. I take my shoes and socks off.
You should.
And I'm like, guys, gosh,
feel bad for you.
What are you guys complaining about?
We've been talking about that a lot this last year because we always talk about men's volleyball and we say, all teams going to the Big 12, of course, except for men's volleyball, who are already in the best league in volleyball.
100%.
There's no question that the MPSF is the elite league in men's volleyball, right?
Yep, 100%. And so like I said last year, the message does not change. Tom Homo, Brian Santiago, Liz, Shane Reese, President Reese. I know him as Shane, and there's funny stories, but we don't have time. And I've known Shane for a long time. I've known Shane for a long time, and so I screenshotted a few of he and our messages from like 10, 15 years ago, and when he got appointed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, probably shouldn't expect to get any messages. And they weren't bad. They were just, they were like, like good buddies, right?
Right.
Like, hey, hook me up with that, like you're my guy, that kind of thing. But we are not on an island of our own. We're every bit a part of what is going on, the movement towards the Big 12. And that's meant a lot to my guys. That's meant a lot to all of us. And they've approached that the right way. And guys, I don't want to be in I'll go to LA and Malibu. How about that? You guys, I'm not going
to. Your recruiting base is Southern Nevada, California, Hawaii.
Yep.
I mean, you get kids from wherever they're at in the world, and it's international as well. But really, you got a lot of kids that want to stay close to
100%,
home with their schedule in this league.
All right, 2 last questions.
Okay.
We're going to bring you in on our question of the week. But let's finish with this one in regards to volleyball. This is Smith Fieldhouse. What is it that makes it such a magical place for volleyball? It used to be the basketball venue back in the day.
Yeah.
But it feels volleyball. It looks volleyball. The team plays great there. What is it? What's the magic?
I wish I could give you the perfect answer, but I think what's most important is giving credit where credit is due. And those are 2 things. Carl established something very, very exciting to go and participate in, and not taking away from basketball at that time when the early 90s. I don't know. There might have been a couple 1-30 seasons in there for basketball, if I'm not mistaken.
I know there was one.
If I'm not mistaken, but so Carl just put out an unbelievable product. Look at the dynamics of the BYU campus. There is a lot of students from California, from Orange County, from the San Diegos, from the LA area, but this is what I want to say is it was the community. Like, they're here. Like, those fans, I tell our guys all the time, guys, have you ever sat and looked at the people that are buying your season tickets? Have you guys, because I have, and I go, man, that person's been here when I was playing. I remember that person in that seat every Friday and Saturday night. So I can't thank the community enough. Yeah. And it'd be wrong of me to just say it's this or that. And there's a feel like you are there. There's a feel to that place. And when it gets rocking, it's unbelievable.
And we talk about it all the time in the show. We told folks when we were talking about you coming on last week and again this week, if you haven't gone to a men's volleyball game in the Fieldhouse, you got to go.
Oh, missing out.
Because it's not just a great men's volleyball experience. It's a great college athletics experience. It really is something special.
And people might get mad at me, but I don't think I'll get in trouble. Years and years ago, I was asked by an administrator, I won't say if it was the president or vice president of BYU, about a facility, about this. This was years ago, so nobody needs to start spreading rumors everywhere.
Right.
And I looked them square in the eyes and I said, I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
What's your input, Sean, on this? And I said, I'd rather stay. And I know that I don't control that. And they're, the Big 12 and facilities, I get all that. But man, I would do anything I could to
How about you just do one thing? How about you get an international squad coming in and you do an exhibition in the Marriott Center and then just see how many people you can get in?
Yeah,
so it wouldn't count against your record.
Who was it that set the women's record?
I think Nebraska.
That was
something
90,000.
Wow.
That was next level.
That's crazy.
But it's Nebraska. There's nothing else going on.
Guys, Carl did it. They played Long Beach State, and it was 1999, and they set the NCAA men's volleyball attendance record. I could be mistaken, but it was something like 12,000 at the time, which is a lot for men's volleyball.
Sure.
Right.
Carl that year was 30-1.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Where did that one come from, guys?
Oh, man, goodness.
I know
Get
what you're
back to
about
the
to say.
field house, baby.
It was at the Marriott
They
Center
lost the
against
game at the
Long
Marriott
Beach
Center.
State. No, now listen. I am playing. In 2003, we were probably number 1 or number 2. You know, that year we went to the finals. We have Hawaii here. And we had a great vibe, so people want to be a part of it. And they in the middle of the year, decided to put it in the Marriott Center. We win night 1 against Hawaii. Friday night, we go to the Marriott Center. We break Carl's record, or that 99 teams record. It was awesome. It was rocking. We lost.
No.
So
That's why I'm saying exhibition game.
Okay, exhibition. All right, I missed
Think
that
how
part.
much fun we could have.
Let's just do an exhibition.
An
There we go.
exhibition against a foreign touring team.
That's true.
Just to see, because now we're in 2024 and your team fills the place every night.
That's true.
And it would give a chance for just if the whole student body showed up, it's
Good point.
Anyway,
Good point.
So an exhibition.
There we go.
I like that. An exhibition against an international traveling team, and let's just pack 20,000.
There you go.
A lot of comments
19,
on our
I think
live
is what
stream. Michael writes in, as amazing as the BYU athletes are, they would not be that way without the amazing coaches and staff
Well
at
said,
BYU.
Michael. Yep.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, I got to speak last week up in Salt Lake with Jen Rockwood, and I just was like, she's sitting with me, and Jen, that's probably my closest, person in the athletic department.
Yeah.
She coached my wife. And so I told the story. I said, in 2000, I was so afraid of Jen Rockwood because I was trying to date her cute little blonde defender.
Yeah.
And oh man, I was so afraid of Jen. And Jen's just out there. And I just said, guys, now she's like my best friend.
Yes.
She's come on the show a couple times, and she's really fun.
Oh, she's amazing.
We grill her like, how she just says, guys, I'm just gonna say it like she's not afraid of. She's like,
oh yeah,
our bar is we want to compete for a national championship every year. Like we were asked her, how are you gonna transition to the Big 12? Fine, we're gonna go win. We're gonna go try to win the conference.
Come on,
like because her whole deal is we are going to compete for national championships every year, and we're gonna own it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
But she just put 5 players in the women's national soccer league.
I think it was that night she was telling me, we were talking during the lunch before we both spoke, and she was like, I think she said, I'm hopeful 4 or 5. And so it's not just Jen, but 2 weeks ago, that big snowstorm came in, and I had to leave my house really early in the morning. So I yelled at my son, not yelled. I said, hey, buddy, keep the walks clear of the snow for mom and the driveway. I get a video that day, and my son was out there. But guess who was right side by side with him? Yeah. Chase Roberts.
Roberts.
Because he's my neighbor. He lives right in front of us.
That's
and
awesome.
So I text Kalani. I send the video to Kalani. And Kalani immediately responds, Sean, man, aren't we just blessed? And what great kids. And so you're right, great coaches. And I can go on and on about every one of Bruce. Bruce is my guy. And DJ, we were on the phone today when I was leaving the office, calling Diljit and my sister, sister, and on and on and on.
Yep. Yeah. And you talked her into coming on the show with us, and she was awesome on the show. We're like, come on,
you should have brought me. You needed to have me.
You know what?
No, she was great though.
Before
she was really
next season, before her next season, let's do that.
Yeah, let's
once
bring
we
them
get
both
into
on.
August.
It'd be fun.
Let's go.
That.
We'll have a good time, and I'll be able to get her to. I'll put her in the spots where she's got to laugh and just go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's my brother
she was
Sean.
pretty
And
great
she won't
when
know what to
came
say.
on, but I think she came on and was just like, I don't know about these guys. But then we had a great time.
All right.
Here's the Cougar Board question of the week.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts daily. This question comes from one of their insider subscribers, user Dilbert. And we thought it applied to you too, so we wanted to bring you in on it.
Okay.
Dilbert writes, it was kind of funny seeing Mark Pope take out his frustration on that water bottle in the Baylor game, giving Greg Wrubell and Mark Durant a little shower. What is the craziest or funniest thing you guys have seen on the sideline from a coach or player during a game? So let me ask you, what's the craziest thing you've done as a coach on the sideline? Or as a player that you saw your coach do?
We talked about that, here, like, that's what he did.
Yeah, he just hit it.
And so our guys were actually joking about that. And so the guys asked me, have you broken anything? And I said, I've broken a clipboard, but it wasn't it was like my own clipboard. And I was, gosh, and it was just not well made. And so it just snapped. I didn't chuck it. I've never done that. But this weekend, I couldn't get up fast enough. And so the play was coming. It was a playable ball by our guys off the block. So one of our big guys, Trent, he's 6'9". He's a bulldozer. He's coming right at me. And I tried to push the chairs, and I just went head over. I just went back. I just flew right over. And someone sent me, I could pull that up right now because it was literally just the other day that someone.
So he sent you the video?
Yeah. Like, there you go. So, let's see.
All right, now give the play-by-play in your microphone.
All right, sorry about that. So there, you can see. I'll rewind it again.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you got Trent. All these texts. Come on, people. So there I am right there. So there you go.
So on the podcast, if just envision the coach getting wiped out.
He needs to send it.
We'll
have to post it.
It's good. But I don't know. Like beyond that, just the typical things, I guess. Nothing wild and crazy that I can recall.
Dave Rose had a jacket removal back in the WCC tournament that
record setting.
That has not been matched.
Nobody's ever taken a jacket off that fast in the history of
when
mankind.
we get home from church on Sunday, that jacket comes off pretty fast, but it is impossible to do it as fast as he does.
No,
so
that's good.
My crazy one was I was doing a national game for a network, and I was doing a game at Air Force, and Joe Scott was the head coach. Remember this story, Dave? Joe Scott was the head coach.
He talked like a sailor.
Joe Scott was just like he did not hold back with his language, and he admits it, and he's reformed. But
just to set the Air Force, they didn't have a big crowd.
Nobody was there.
It's awfully quiet in those games.
It got better. Clune Arena got better. But
we have great microphones. It was awfully quiet.
There's very few people there. And they made our position on the scores table was right next to Joe. And so I would always get really nervous. I'm like, I don't like this. It's too quiet in here. I don't like being next to Joe. Like, he can hear everything I'm saying. I don't like that he can hear what I'm saying, right? So I'm trying to talk in hushed tones. They're not playing well. And I think they're playing San Diego State. And San Diego State goes down, and they run down, and they get a run out. And then they steal the ball, and they run down, and they get a run out. Like 4 plays in a row, they get layups.
Oh, my gosh.
And Air Force's guys, they're not even trying to get back and play defense. So I say as quiet as I can say. I'm like, hey, it's apparent that Joe Scott's about to go out of his mind because his guys aren't even making an effort to get back. I say it just quiet like this. They're not even making an effort to get back and play defense the last 4 times down the floor. He calls a timeout, immediate calls a timeout. No. And they come over, and he huddles the team up right in front of us. But it's not a media timeout, so we're still on the air. And just at the top of his lungs, he's like, even expletive Blaine, sitting right here behind me, knows that you guys are dogging it out there. You're absolutely dogging it, and he just pointed it out on television.
Oh, I love it.
And the producer in my ear goes, did he just say expletive Blaine? And I go, yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Like, I put the talk back, I go, yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he goes, wow. That just went out over the air.
There we go.
And then he sent him back out, and he sat down, and they had a timeout. And he comes over and he goes, hey, I'm really sorry about that. I go, Joe, that went out on the air. He's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry about that.
He was a really nice guy, but he'd get in these games and it'd become this thing.
He would
tell him, look, you can't talk like that.
Yeah.
You can't scream that right into our mic.
I will share one story, and I won't say who, and I'll be quick. It was in the Smith Fieldhouse. Imagine one of the best crowds ever. I mean, because it was. And it was a rockin'. And the team that came in here, I'll just say they were probably 1 or 2 at the time. Oh. We were probably 3 or 4. And so it was just rockin'. And we had really, really good team. I won't give away too much. It was one of the teams that competed for a national championship. I'll say that. And
if you give us enough clues, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, you guys get it. But some fans brought these like spinning wheels.
Like pinwheels?
Yeah, but they're just holding them and spinning it, which I don't know. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know if those are against the rules or allowed.
It seems like they're in the rock at basketball games.
Okay,
stuff like that.
So they're doing that. No big deal. And this coach, you guys, he's going to have a heart attack. He's going to pass out. His players didn't know what was going on because he was just the
veins were popping out on his forehead.
So in the middle of the match, this is something I appreciate you guys because it's a cool story. So due to you guys bringing this up, I walk over. I don't call time. I literally walk over to him. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's looking at like, what the freak's
why
going
are you
on?
going to talk to this
Is there
guy?
going to be a fight? He's like, and I walk over to him and I put my arms on his shoulders and I go, dude, take a deep breath. Breathe in. Hey, are you going to be like, what do you need? Like in the heat of the competition, some people might go, oh, you're a wimp. Why'd you do that? But I was like, no. This guy is going to die. He's going to have a heart attack. We're not going to make it through this match. And I told him, I said, dude,
What do you need?
what do you want me to do, man? Calm, like, take a deep, I told him to his face, take a deep breath, man. What do you need? What do you need? And I went over there, said, hey, get those out of there. Just
Take the pinwheels
done.
out.
We're done. And, but yeah, so
Did he
Wow.
survive? He survived.
He survived. He said,
Wait,
wouldn't have. He wouldn't have.
After the game, did he go, hey, thanks for doing that?
No, because, because
you beat him.
I can't.
I'm
answer
glad he
that
didn't take a
question. I'm not
swing
gonna-
at you.
I'm not gonna
Sometimes
say any more
coaches
than
are-
that.
You beat him.
But I walked over there in the middle of the match, and everyone like is our guys, their guys. What is going on? What's going on? So
That's
anyway.
because
Sean,
you're.
it was two things. Sean did not want him to have a medical event there because that was not going to be good. And the second thing is Sean knew they were going to spank him in this match, and he wanted the guy to have no excuses.
There you go.
Sean
There you go.
Olmstead, the humanitarian.
Yes.
And very successful volleyball coach. Good luck, Santa Barbara.
Thank you.
Are you going to go back in the old neighborhood when you?
Yeah, I think I'll take the team. I think we've got a meal plan down in Carpinteria.
That's
I think
awesome.
we're doing lunch there when we get there, and then because we don't practice till that evening on the court in Rob Gym, one of the most beautiful places in the world, Santa Barbara,
That's awesome.
hands down. So
You haven't changed any of your 5 questions. Like we don't do a like that yet. Like you haven't changed your breakfast cereal, have you?
no, I think it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay.
We'll
I just want to
spare
make
you
sure that you're still staying true to who you are.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Monday night, a week from tonight, will be family home evening at the Smithfield House against the Princeton
Princeton
Tigers.
in-house.
Live
Yep.
on BYU TV with Jerem Jordan and Steve Vale, and the spotlight will be on the coach. They're just getting going with their home schedule. It's the what do we call it? The hottest ticket on
Yep.
campus.
And
the
if you
big
want to see
show.
them beat a bunch of smart guys, come next Monday.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here.
Hey,
And
anytime.
And what's
and
in
I-
that
oh,
box?
Yeah, so
What
I
is in
brought-
that
I
box?
brought-
yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I've got a wonderful director
Is
of
it like
ops,
gonna jump
Aubrey
out?
Rushing.
Yeah,
no,
is
I
this-
just
is
think
this
it's
like
gear
a-
that she brought. Like
Oh,
some
my
volleyball
goodness.
stuff. Volleyball,
Look at that stuff.
sweatshirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you guys
Oh,
do with
nice.
it. We got, it's just volleyball stuff. You guys
Look at
figure
this.
out what you want to do with it. And
That is cool.
whoever
Sean, and
gets
you
it,
know,
gets it.
I come to matches.
That's
I know.
A grade
No, no,
stuff.
no.
And you know when
I've
I
seen you
come,
guys.
you know where
Yep.
I sit? Do you know
Yep.
where I sit? I sit right behind the service line,
Okay.
right with Bruce Nilsson. I always sit right next to
you're with
Bruce
Bruce.
Nilsson.
Okay.
Bruce is one of the most loyal
Bruce.
fans ever.
Unreal.
And
Unreal.
he cracks me up. Like my wife's like, honey, is it embarrassing? I'm like, no, it's hilarious.
it's enjoyable.
Because he's not mean. He stands behind him. He's like, oh my gosh, the net looks like it just went up to 13 feet. It just looks like it's 13 feet.
It's
He just
exactly
talks.
that. But do you know how many times he's been accused? And it's just funny because it's like, you guys, he has been here again since I played.
Yeah.
He didn't say any, like, it was just good fun. Like,
Yeah.
and
He
you know,
says stuff like,
they call a timeout and they're down.
Whatever you do not focus on the guy in the white hat with the mustache in the third row. Do not focus on him while he's serving, or you'll serve
be
it
like,
long.
gosh.
Whatever you do, don't think about that.
Gosh,
That's what he
yep,
says.
Your coach just called a timeout. This must be so much pressure that it's now on you to come out of this timeout and make this serve. And people will talk with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually cracks me up. But I know he takes their focus away, which is what a great fan does, right? That's part of your home court advantage, right?
I will say this: that I share things that hopefully people enjoy. Maybe I give some insight.
Oh, yeah.
We had a team last year. A good team. They were ranked probably at the time in the top 7 or 6. Good team. And they tried to stop. It went 5 sets. We won. They tried to stop and get our personnel to get involved. And I kid you not, the coach said, these guys are really distracting. And so Tom Homo called me that night. And he's like, hey, Sean, I just want to let you know that everything's good. You know, if you hear something, because it wasn't hey, something really, really bad or pushing the banner against their
distracting.
feet.
No.
The coach literally said that. And it was like, isn't that the whole point of a home field fan?
At a basketball game, why do we put our student section behind the basket that the visiting team has to shoot in the second half?
Yep.
And right by their bench. And I always have appreciated, even when I was playing, going to a visiting, when the fans do the research, I always appreciated the spectrum in Logan.
Yeah.
Utah State fans, when I
worked
broadcast
there. I go to those games. I worked there.
And they would.
Oh, so good.
As long as they didn't cross over the line, they were just creative, and I would enjoy it as a player. I'd be like, 100%. Oh my gosh, these guys have put in some work. This is awesome stuff.
So there's my props for Bruce. Let me get that in there. He's awesome.
He's very thoughtful with his way he distracts.
Yep.
This is awesome stuff.
Some fans before one of our Big 12 football games, they were here to go to their first game at the football stadium, and I was talking to them about what they could expect. They were overcome by the mountains and everything, and I said, well, here's the thing. The crowd's going to be into it. They love it. They'll get after, they'll make more noise, and there's a really good chance you're not going to hear a single swear word tonight.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
100%.
What?
100%.
And then it's true.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're all sober.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Welcome to our world.
Yes.
And it's awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Hey, I'm going to do something else.
What?
I literally just took the tag off this today. So I'm going to leave this hoodie.
Oh, man. We're going to freeze on the way home.
It's 6 degrees outside.
No, my car's right there. Come on.
Well, it is right there.
I literally took the tag off this because on Thursday night, we had a cool thing. We had a ton of these fans that came.
Yeah.
BYU fans to Chicago. And there was just one fan, and he's holding up Y flag, and I'm walking out, and I took off that sweatshirt. So this is brand new. I took the Nike tag off minutes before I got in my car because I needed to get another hoodie I gave. But I love this hoodie. We just got
love how it has the VB on the side.
I'm going to leave it for, you guys can Rochambeau or whatever. It's an XL.
That's awesome.
Or we give it to a fan.
Yeah. Hey, should we give it to a fan?
No, let's keep it for ourselves. You crazy?
There you go.
What are we talking about
here?
That's awesome. I love this. I love that on the shoulder, shoulder patch.
I do want to take credit that I designed this hoodie. I just love that
old school.
It's old school.
That's what I wore back in the old days, right?
But we just don't do that anymore. So I was so pumped when we got those. So there you go.
Thanks for the free stuff.
Awesome of you.
Thanks for coming and spending a lot of time with us tonight. And we're excited to have you back.
Which is just above and beyond, Sean. We love it.
You guys are amazing.
We love following the team, and we love supporting that team.
Okay, we'll see you with your tan home from Santa Barbara Monday.
Hopefully not tan. We got work to do, and the guys know that. That's the rules. We'll put our toes in the water, and then we'll get back to work.
You don't have to be out that long to get a tan.
No, that's true.
Just make sure, since we're not going to get any tans up here, get something.
With this base, I don't need a sunburn.
Yeah, be careful with that. Yeah. Sean Olmstead, head volleyball coach on the Wise Guys.
Thank you,
just
guys.
great. Thanks. And you can just put the headphones on and walk out of here.
Go Cougs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Okay.
Santa Barbara this weekend, and then Princeton Monday and Tuesday.
All the gear
they're home for like a month and a half. So the Smith Fieldhouse is where you want to go for an opportunity to experience men's volleyball. Next week, Gary Bohannon, the new quarterback in town. We've with us Jeff Chapman, Mark Durant, Tyler Haas, Gordon Eakin, the softball coach, and Jerem Jordan will wrap up January for us. We've got an awesome slate of guests, as we always do here on the Wise Guys. I know we're late in the show, but let's do something. There's so much going on campus. Let's see how fast we can do this.
Yeah, this is going to be speed. And by the way, somebody asked a little while ago, he said, hey, can you go through that again, what the ESPN matchup predictor? I'm going to do that in less than 30 seconds.
You're on the clock.
So the ESPN predictor
talking about men's basketball.
Men's basketball still has the only losses for BYU for through the rest of the season: at Texas Tech, Houston at home, at Oklahoma, at Kansas, and at Iowa State. So the ESPN predictor has them going 11-7 in the league.
Wow.
I would be thrilled with 7-11 in the league.
I would too.
But somebody said, "Can you do that again?" That was good for me. That made me feel good. So I'm letting you know that every other game they have them winning. And so 11-7 is what ESPN is predicting right now with their matchup predictor. So there you go.
Tuesday night, tomorrow night, Iowa State at the Marriott Center, 6 o'clock. The pregame show on BYU TV, 7 o'clock tip on ESPN+. Cyclones are 13-3 also. They're 2-1 in the league, just beat number 2 Houston last week. Number 24 in today's AP Top 25. Number 12 in the Ken Palm. Number 9 in the net.
Yeah, this is 2 top 10 net teams. Like, that's amazing. 2 top 10 net teams playing in the Marriott Center. Like, we all need to be there.
All right, we're on the clock now. Campus notes.
Women's. Let's start with women's hoops. Okay. 11-7 right now. 1-4 in league. Hey, they got their first Big 12 win. They defeated Cincinnati 68-58 on Saturday for the first Big 12 win.
I texted Amber Whiting after and congratulated her at the first of many, but she was really relieved because it's a tough road, and they're undersized. They got good guards that are going to grow.
They're young.
They've got a tough road ahead. But they got
Kayla
the win.
Wilson had 12 points. Lauren Gustin, 11 points and 9 rebounds, and only 14 turnovers. Down 11 from that Houston game when they had 26 turnovers.
Yeah, that was too many.
Yeah.
This week they're at Oklahoma State on Wednesday, January 17th, 5:30 Mountain Time on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. And again, Saturday they're home against Texas Tech. That's at 4 Mountain Time on ESPN Plus. Kristen Kozlowski and I will be on the call.
Yeah, you got
on
that one. So.
And also on BYU Radio.
So, hey, how about BYU Baseball January 18th? That's a Thursday. That first pitch dinner, the fundraiser that we talked about with Coach Pratt at the Provo Marriott, due to a health issue, Justin Sua is not going to be the keynote speaker. Instead, it'll be former BYU baseball player, former football player, and current Minnesota Viking quarterback Jaron Hall. How about that?
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, a guy that didn't he hit a grand slam against Utah in baseball? I think he did. He hit a home run for sure.
He hit a home run
against Utah. But Minnesota Vikings quarterback Jaron Hall will be the keynote speaker, which will be really fun.
We had Trent Pratt on last week. You can find that interview at ysguys.com. And sports camps at byu.edu. I don't know if there are any tickets available, but that's where you can go to find some. Track and field, Aiden Turner ran the first sub-4 mile in the history of the Smith Fieldhouse. Junior from Provo ran it in 3:59.2. He's going to be on Sports Nation tomorrow. That's one fast mile, fastest ever. They just keep rolling them out, man.
They just keep rolling out great distance runners. It's unbelievable. How about Cougars in the NFL? This is a little shorter list because we're in the playoffs now, but Fred Warner was named first-team All-Pro. Not a surprise. Best linebacker in the National Football League. And how about Puka Nacua? Not only doing everything, like things that no rookie's ever done, he was second-team All-Pro. We're not talking about to the Pro Bowl. We're talking about second-team All-Pro, one of the top 4 receivers in the National Football League.
So good. So good. We mentioned earlier the Rams fell short in the playoffs. Puka had a record-setting game. Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they beat the Dolphins in the Ice Bowl.
Yeah.
So his mustache froze.
Froze completely, yeah.
But it's since thawed.
And they look good.
They're going to play the Bills in round 2.
Yeah, so it's the battle of the freezing places. So because the Bills didn't look very warm tonight. Sione Takitaki season came to an end. The Texans beat the Browns 45-14. At one point, Cleveland led 14-10.
Then they got smoked.
Yeah, Taki had 3 tackles, but man, they just ran away from him.
How about Zane Anderson? 2 solo tackles, and the Packers blowout win at Dallas, 48-32. So Zane is into the second round.
Yeah, and how about Jordan Love? Utah State,
great.
Utah State guy, so he's got some Utah ties. Wow, he played great for the Packers.
Zane and the Packers play Fred and the 49ers.
Yeah, this may
weekend.
end for the Packers this week because the 49ers are pretty dang good. Other 3 games, Chiefs versus Ravens or Texans. Let's see.
Some of those, the Eagles are playing now, and
Eagles
that's going to determine what's going on in the NFC. And the Chiefs are playing the Bills, so I think the Ravens play the Texans.
Yeah.
But we know Cougars in that one.
So, women's soccer, how about, we talked about this a little earlier with Sean, but the National Women's Soccer League draft, 5 players drafted from BYU. That's a program record. Brecken Mazinga, 4th overall pick to the Utah Royals, getting to stay home. Olivia Smith-Griffiths, 20th pick to the Utah Royals, so staying home. Olivia Wade-Katoa, 23rd pick to Portland. Jamie Shepard, the 30th pick to Bay FC. And then Lavani Vaca, 55th pick to Bay FC.
That's a great haul.
Yeah,
right
wow.
there.
5.
Interesting football notes since we were last together. Alabama coach Nick Saban announced his retirement. He's 72, 7 national championships, 6 with the Crimson Tide. Never coached against BYU in all those years. Will ever be another Nick Saban?
I don't know, but coaches don't stay around long enough. I mean, look at the domino effect of what's going on with DeBeer from Washington now moving to Bama, Arizona's coach moving. I just don't know if anybody can do what Nick Saban did. He may be the last of a great generation.
Jed Fish was the Arizona coach. He's left to become the Washington coach. That's good because Arizona's got it figured out. And now he and his staff, and I imagine a bunch of his players are going to Washington.
I would think so.
And that means they won't be at LaVell Edwards Stadium when Arizona comes this fall, and I'm okay with that.
I'm okay. I literally, we talked about this earlier, but I was thinking Arizona might be my pick to win the league next year, but not now. We'll see. Maybe, but I think that's just too disruptive. So
on this day, on January 15th, 1797, the first top hat is worn by John Etherington of London. Changed the world. And that's who to blame. John Etherington.
For why we have to wear it. Who do we blame for the tie? Because I'm tired of that.
We'll find out.
Necktie. Whoever
Today's
invented the necktie, hat. I'm not happy about. 1844, University of Notre Dame receives its charter from the state of Indiana. 1844.
1870, the donkey is introduced as the symbol of the Democratic Party.
Why?
Today. Of all the animals, I don't know why they picked the donkey.
Isn't that the most stubborn animal in the world?
The Republicans went with the elephant.
Yeah, who knows why. 1892 on this day. The first basketball rules are published in Triangle magazine by James Naismith.
That's the day we found
from
the rules
Kansas,
to the game.
by the way. The Big 12 invented basketball.
1932 on this day, a record 2 inches of snow falls in Los Angeles, and they all survived.
Yeah, they lived.
It's a miracle.
It's all about. 1964, Willie Mays becomes baseball's highest paid player at $105,000 per season.
And he was rolling in it.
And what's Ohtani making now?
$70 million this season.
Yeah.
$70 million compared to $105,000. That's how life's changed in baseball.
That's covering more than just the cost of inflation. That's all I have to say.
1967 on this day, the first Super Bowl. The Packers beat the Chiefs 35-10. Bart Starr's the MVP.
Yep. And then 1974, one of the shows my family watched together all the time, Happy Days, premieres on ABC, The Fonz.
That's
Arthur
classic.
Fonzarelli.
Loved it.
Richie Cunningham.
2009 on this day, the Miracle on the Hudson. Chelsea Sullenberger lands U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River after the plane was hit by a flock of birds.
Yeah.
After taking off from LaGuardia, lost engine power in both engines, and he had nowhere else to go but on the
Have you seen that movie, Sully?
No, but I heard it's great.
Oh my goodness, it's riveting, and it's
Tom Hanks plays Sully.
It's very telling. It makes you kind of mad at the Federal Aviation Administration and how they investigated that thing. But Sully's a hero, true hero. How about January 15th birthdays? In 1412, and by the way, last week or the week before, I was seeing all kinds of buildings built in 1412.
Yeah.
It was Joan of Arc's birthday on January 15th, 1412.
1929, Martin Luther King Jr. Today is Martin Luther King Day around the country.
It is. 1979, Drew Brees, quarterback fame.
You know what I like about him? He was good. But what I like is how nice he was to Taysom Hill.
He was nice to everybody. Drew Brees is a true good guy.
Taysom used to babysit his kids.
Yep.
And so, hey, I know you're the backup. Can you watch my kids this weekend? I don't know how that all worked out, but Taysom's always had good things to say about Drew Brees.
And we're going to finish, of course, with
our Wise Guy's inspirational quote of the week from Dr. Martin Luther King.
Of course, we're going to do it with Dr. Martin Luther King. And I love this, one of my favorites of Dr. King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Dr. King, that's well said.
Yep.
Applies to so many things.
Applies today as much as it did back in those days.
We thank Eric Mika and Sean Olmstead, our guests tonight. Next week, Gary Bohannon, Jeff Chapman, and Mark Durant. There'll be football. There'll be basketball. We'll also keep you up to date on all the things going on campus. I'm going to see you on Sports Nation for the next 3 mornings. Blaine will see you tomorrow night on the pregame show on BYU TV at 6 Mountain.
Iowa State.
Ahead of Iowa State. So we got a busy week.
We'll see you all in those places, and then we'll see you back here next Monday night for Family Night with Blaine and Dave.
Podcast is up tomorrow. Check it out. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody where the Wise Guys can be found. We'd appreciate that. We'll come up with some good stuff and see you again next week. I'm Dave McCann. That's Blaine Fowler. We're the Wise Guys. Thank you for hanging out with us.
See ya.